And now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever at Bartesian.com/enjoy. Entertaining? The Bartesian is ideal for parties. No need to stock all kinds of individual mixers for complicated recipes. Every guest gets the cocktail of their choice in seconds. The Bartesian makes a wonderful gift for anyone who loves a fine premium cocktail. Now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever. It's available right now, only at Bartesian.com/enjoy. That's BARTESIAN.com/enjoy for Bartesian's best deal ever. Only at Bartesian.com/enjoy.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne,
Robbie and Rex Road, Chase, Willie, and D-Mace,
Stillman Company, Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball. We got pass rushes.
Awesome Game 7.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of the manager, Gentry. Live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Caroline's here today. Hello, Caroline.
Hello, how we doing?
Outstanding. Ian's here today. Hello, Ian.
What up, what up?
Okay, so Ryan Tannehill, let's get right to it. Yesterday, I was worried yesterday that we were a little hard on Ryan Tannehill, saying he should have played.
We
were a little hard on Ryan Tannehill. But today, Ryan Tannehill met with the media, and I was like, we're going to figure some things out here. I've been talking to some doctors, and I've been kind of gathering the information between the high ankle sprain and the low ankle sprain and the ability to re-injure it and the difference between the high and the low. If it's the high, then he could have a broken femur or a broken fibula, and then he could make it worse by breaking his leg. If he's got a low ankle sprain, then it's all about playing through the pain tolerance. Mm-hmm. Pretty much the difference between the two. And so I keep trying to listen to what they say, knowing that they're trying not to say anything, both Vrabel and Tannehill, and I'm trying to match up the timeline, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, what is reality? And Ryan Tannehill did mention, I think, 3 very important things when trying to figure out what his actual injury is. Remember, Adam Schefter said it could be a high ankle sprain over the weekend, but didn't definitively say it was a high ankle sprain. And we know the difference, that a high ankle sprain is probably a 4 to 6 week injury, that there's the possibility of a tightrope surgery in there like Cedric Tillman had, that Mac Jones had it. He played 3 weeks later after he was kind of pushed out there onto the field, but didn't have the surgery. And we know that an ankle sprain, a regular ankle sprain, it's going to hurt, but you ready? And so Ryan Tannehill met with the media today, and I thought the first thing he said that was very telling was about last week and his preparation for Kansas City. Here's what Ryan Tannehill said.
Did you have a pretty good sense all along that you probably weren't going to be able to?
Yeah, I mean, the week was tough, just heading into it. Didn't really know how things were going to turn out, but, had tried it several times throughout the week to know it was going to take, a big step forward on Sunday.
Okay, so he was basically telling us that he was trying to go last week, that during the week he was trying to go, that he probably knew when they got to Kansas City that he wasn't going to play, but he was going to try to give it a go. Well, again, if it's a high ankle sprain, which is usually a 4 to 6 week injury, I don't think the team would have said, hey, let's try to give it a go. Just using that as the standard. And my guess is that he got out there and he thought on Wednesday when he practiced and Friday when he practiced that it's going to be a long haul for me to be able to play with how my ankle feels right now. And then remember the one thing I said, TD took a video of Ryan Tannehill walking into the stadium and he wasn't wearing a suit. So that was a pretty big sign to me that Ryan Tannehill wasn't going to play, because Ryan Tannehill does his post-game press conferences usually in a suit. So I don't think he went to Kansas City, and you heard Gentry's question about, did you know you weren't going to play? And he was kind of like, I mean, yeah, I tried.
Kind of assumed.
I knew that Sunday when I got out there, it was going to have to, and it was. Okay. Then he was asked by Joe, I think this is a fair question. if he had any setbacks after what happened in the Colts game when he went into the tunnel, into the blue tent, and then he came back from the blue tent onto the field. Joe asked, has he had any setbacks since the Colts game when he went back into the game?
Do you have any setbacks, Ryan, from that game when you were injured in like Sunday, Kansas City?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
No setbacks. So keep that in mind. So again, he practiced last week trying to play, which means the team has cleared him for competition. That doesn't mean that he feels comfortable going in competition, but that the team has cleared him to try to give it a go in competition, and that he hasn't had any setbacks from the Colts game when they looked at his ankle in the blue tent, taped it up, and sent him back out there.
Which can be assumed that it's not a high ankle sprain if the team has said you are good to go. It's just a Tannehill decision.
Which takes us to the next one, which I think is probably the most important element of this, was that he doesn't think that he was asked about surgery, and he was asked about, because again, we know that with a high ankle sprain, Mac Jones, the Patriots wanted him to have the tightrope. He didn't have it. Cedric Tillman, the Vols wanted him to have the tightrope. He had the tightrope surgery. He was out 4 weeks. He came back. He didn't come back last week, right? He came back the week before against Kentucky.
He came back, yes, against Kentucky.
Okay, so he had the tightrope, and he came back against Kentucky. So that tightrope surgery is standard in a high ankle sprain. This was Tannehill today.
Was surgery ever on the table for you?
No.
Okay, no setbacks. Surgery was never on the table. He was cleared for competition, tried to give it a go, and he couldn't give it a go. What's that tell us?
Not a high ankle sprain.
It's a low ankle sprain.
Yeah, if surgery was never on the table, it has to at least be in discussion. But also, if surgery was in consideration, would he say that it is? Like, what good does it do Ryan Tannehill to say, hey, no, yeah, I did consider surgery, but I just decided not to elect for it?
I hear the point, but I almost feel like I, for some reason, don't think he's lying about this.
Because you already have your theory.
That I think it's a low ankle sprain?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a low ankle sprain. I think he needs to play. That's what I think. I mean, if it's a low ankle sprain, the likelihood of re-injury is not very high. With a high ankle sprain, there is a legitimate, thing, he could break his leg if he went back out there. If it's a low ankle sprain, then honestly, it is just playing through the pain. It is just dealing with the pain. You can't really, they can shoot it a little bit, but it's not a muscle. So it's not like they can shoot into the muscle or whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's going to have to feel the pain. He's going to have to play through the pain. And so this is my theory for right now. I believe the Titans were never going to play him against the Texans. That when he got hurt against the Colts, he went into the tent. They checked to see if it was broken. It wasn't. Now they would still need to get an x-ray, but they decided, hey, do you think you can go? He said he could go. They taped it up. He went out there, and he was noticeably immobile for that Colts game, which why Todd Downing called that handoff to Malik, I'll never know. But he was noticeably immobile in the first half of that, or the second half, the end of that Colts game in the fourth quarter. Then he talks about wanting to give it a go for the Texans, but he gets sick. I don't think he was ever going to go against the Texans. That they looked at it about, his ankle's really bothering him. It's going to make him immobile. He probably could play through it. It's going to hurt. But we see the Texans on film. We think we may be able to work this one through the Texans. And we would just kind of, if we lose to the Texans, we lost to the Texans last year and we still rebounded from it. So maybe we can kill two birds with one stone and get Malik some experience and everything that I don't really like. But they probably looked at it that way.
And in hindsight, if he didn't go for the Chiefs game, it didn't seem probable at all that a week earlier he would be ready to go for the Texans.
I think Vrabel probably wanted him to play in the Chiefs game.
Probably.
I don't think Vrabel is going to, and this is all speculation. I do wonder if Vrabel looks at Ryan Tannehill and thinks, dude, you can't go with a low ankle sprain on Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs? Because remember, just all we have is the video. And the video was him just standing out there, just throwing gingerly by himself.
Not moving his feet at all.
No tape.
No tape.
No tape on the ankle. And it was Tannehill who went up to Vrabel and Todd Torricelli, the trainer, and it was Tannehill who walked through the tunnel with Vrabel. And I wonder if Vrabel, once Tannehill says, I don't think I can do it, at that point, Vrabel can't goad him into playing because Vrabel knows that mentally Tannehill will not feel secure on that ankle and will not have confidence in himself and in his ankle if he tries to push him. So once Tannehill says to Vrabel, hey, I don't think I can go, I don't think I can do this, Vrabel then is probably automatically moving to point B, which is, okay, Malik, you go, Logan, you're in. That kind of thing, as opposed to, but I think Vrabel, again, if he was clearly cleared by the team, if he was practicing on Wednesday and Friday of last week, he was cleared by the team in order to practice. If he was, as he told Gentry Estes today, trying to give it a go, he was cleared medically by the team. He got out there, didn't think he'd be able to go. Surgery's not considered because it's not a high ankle sprain. I'm sure he wanted to go, but ultimately I just don't think that he felt he could tough it out on Sunday against the Chiefs. And I hear that, and I have sympathy for Ryan Tannehill.
I get it.
But, dude, it's Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs. I mean, it's one of those, I'm not going to say it's for all the marbles kind of games.
It's a big game.
I went back and looked at it, and I wonder if Vrabel thinks this way. Because remember Vrabel, that Vrabel cut after the game on Sunday when Paul Kaharski asked him about Tannehill, and he was like, Ryan was questionable for the game. He wasn't active. I want to talk about the guys who did play. I'll talk all night about the guys who wanted to play in this game because we left our hearts on that field.
Yeah.
And we're like, do we think that Vrabel's mad at Tannehill? I do.
Or do we think that Vrabel is mad that the Titans just lost in overtime to the Chiefs?
I think it's both, but I think it's a coach will never blame a player, especially Vrabel, who says it's never about one guy.
Or is he mad at the idea of, man, if Ryan was out there, we would have won that game?
I think
not necessarily directed toward Tannehill, but just mad overall at the situation.
I think it was, dude, you should have been able to give it a go. Like in his head. Mm-hmm. It was, dude, you should have been able to give it a go. And Vrabel knows what's at stake. When Vrabel was a player in 2004, I believe, or maybe it was 2003, they had the same record as the Colts. They played in the regular season. I always say this was 2004. They had the same record as the Colts. They played in Indianapolis. It's like a famous game where Willie McGinnis went down on the field and the Patriots ended up getting penalized because they didn't have any timeouts, but it slowed down Indianapolis, who I think was running a no-huddle. And so Willie McGinnis, they say faked an injury. Now, Willie McGinnis said he didn't fake an injury. But anyway, it set up like a 4th and goal, and Indianapolis didn't get it. So New England beat Indianapolis in the regular season. The AFC Championship game was in New England, and New England beat the crap out of them. The next year, they played, and they had the same record, and Indy beat New England, and the AFC Championship game was in Indianapolis, and New England had a 21-0 lead, and Indianapolis came all the way back and won. So Vrabel knows, how important those games are.
Yeah.
And getting those games at home, especially against that team, Vrabel knew how big that game was. And there's a part of me that wonders if the Titans, didn't put pressure on Tannehill to play because the line sucked so bad that it's like, hey, you know what? We better be cautious because our line sucks. And we're not going to
be able to escape pressure.
Any chance with this crap line. Or if Vrabel's looking at Tannehill like, dude, it's an ankle sprain. Jeffrey Simmons is playing, and he hurt his ankle at the exact same time. Why can't you play? But not saying that to him, more kind of internalizing it.
Thinking it.
And I do wonder that. And again, if it's a low ankle sprain and he came back in the game, but he can't play 2 weeks later against the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football?
Unless it got worse. Unless he came back too soon. Unless going back in the game did make it worse.
But he said to Joe he had no setbacks.
I know what he said.
I'm going off of what he said.
I know. I hear you. It just still, like, the dots don't connect for me.
Oh. I think the dots connect for me.
But also, does that make sense from what we know about Ryan Tannehill?
Going into this ankle situation, no. But this is like the first real injury he's ever had here. Like the first real one on the field where he had to come out of the game.
Yeah.
Like in 2019, didn't have any injuries to come out of the game. 2020, no injuries to come out of the game.
Or no injuries to keep him out of games.
No injury to come out of the game.
Yeah.
Because, if you go down, you have to come out for a play at least. Mm-hmm. Kirk Cousins went down, and Nick Mullins had to go in for a play on Sunday, and then Kirk Cousins went back in the game. Tannehill hasn't even had that. So this is the first one. And he went back in the game, and I was like, yes. And now I'm like, man, cleared by the team. Clearly cleared by the team. Couldn't go on Sunday against the Chiefs. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We will get to your phones on this. 615-737-1025. What do we make of it? If it looks like a low ankle sprain as opposed to a high ankle sprain. Plus, I did talk to a doctor who works on NFL players. I had the doctor analyze the coach's tape of the Tannehill injury against Indianapolis, his reaction on the TV broadcast, and we factored in other things. What that doctor thinks, we'll get to that next. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. I love my friends at Hiller. Hiller they know that fall is coming since it's already here, and they know cool weather is right around the corner. Apparently it's supposed to be super cold next week. Make sure your family is warm in your home with this special deal from Hiller. This month, take advantage of Hiller's Happy HVAC Comfort Bundle, which includes an HVAC replacement, a germicidal UV light, and an extended 10-year warranty. Plus, you'll get a free Solo smokeless stove, or get a free Solo stove with a new whole home generator or whole home water filtration and descaler. Plus, Hiller is offering 0 interest financing for up to 12 months on these purchases. Hiller's work is backed by the Happy You'll Be or Services Free guarantee, and I know this because I've been using Hiller at my home for years. So do not let the heat go out. You want to be cool in the home. Do not let that go. Let Hiller take care of it. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Proud supporters of the Nashville Predators, the Tennessee Volunteers, and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
The Sports Talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Michelle Knezovic and Junie Riddle for Michelle and Junie.
Have they truly been tested yet?
I really want this to be a good game.
Michelle and Junie, every Saturday morning at 9. Presented by Superbook Sports and the Nashville Jam Company.
I think Junie and I are going to go hit breakfast/brunch there after the show.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Now is a fantastic time to sell in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. And no one has better intel than the Gary Ashton team. You may be wondering, what is this intel I keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel on where to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Everyone else is getting the same information and competing for the same properties. GaryAshton.com gives you the edge with the best real estate intel in Nashville. No one else even comes close. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate agent for the Preds. Get the confidence to sell your home and find your dream address without the stress. Call the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage today at 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
If you own a house, you've got a huge asset, and everyone's looking at it. With Wall Street investors buying up homes in Nashville and renting them out like never before, you have to wonder, what do they see in your big asset that you don't? If you sell your home instead of renting it, you can kiss your asset goodbye. The best way to save your asset is to rent it out. Go to renterswarehouse.com to book your free home rental price analysis or call 615-398-9550. Renters Warehouse. You can't buy happiness, but you can rent it.
Hey, it's Hutton. Guys, do you need an annual health exam? I recommend going to Low T Center to get your complete health assessment. They will check all of your levels, not just your T level. In most cases, it's completely covered by your health insurance. And if you don't have insurance, it's less than $100 for a full lab panel and an office visit with their medical provider to give you a complete health assessment. Low T Center specializes in men's health, making it quick and easy, even verifying your insurance. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
It's on. It's happening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way, I'm watching the game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Things are definitely getting better. I think that's going to be, something I'm dealing with for a while. Just the nature of the injury. It's not something that gets better overnight. It's definitely testing my patience and has up until this point and still doing so. So just trying to stay patient with it, doing everything I can to help it heal as best it can, and excited to get back out there at some point.
There you go. That's Ryan Tannehill today on his ankle. We'll see if he practices, and we'll see what that means. I did talk to a doctor, though, who works with NFL players, who is a former high-level Division I athlete themselves, works with NFL players. I talked to this doctor. I sent the video, the the all-22 tape of the Tannehill injury where Nicholas Petit-Frere rolls into his ankle, and the TV copy where Tannehill is shown on the ground grabbing his knee originally and not his ankle. And I asked the doctor, what do we make of this? So I'll just read you what the doctor said. The doctor said that's what's called an inversion sprain, which is the opposite direction of how most people sprain their ankles. It is much easier to fracture a fibula that way, but I can't tell for sure, obviously, without an x-ray. Weird that he grabs his knee afterwards. He then asked, has there been any rumor of surgery? And he's been out for 2 weeks. I said no rumor and yes, which is why it was good that Tannehill was asked whether or not surgery was an option, and Tannehill said no. Because I said, are you talking about the tightrope surgery? He said either the tightrope or putting a plate or screws into the fibula if the fibula was cracked with the inversion sprain. But obviously it wasn't.
Right.
Because surgery wasn't an option. He said, was he in a boot on Sunday versus the Chiefs? I said he was not in a boot. He said, I don't think they had any procedure done then. I just watched a video of him throwing before the Chiefs game. My educated guess, this is from a doctor, my educated guess is just a bad ankle sprain because he's older and not recovering very quickly. If he's out again this week, I'll be very suspicious something else is going on. With all the rehab he has access to, if it's just a sprain, he should be back this week. He didn't even look like he had a brace or tape throwing pregame. And I said, so you think it's a low ankle sprain and all about pain tolerance? The doctor said, that would be my educated guess. That would be my educated guess based on the info that I have. And so that's what we have right there. And then I asked about the re-injury rate of a low ankle sprain. The doc said, depends on the person, how bad the initial injury was, and the rehab. If the rehab is good, it should be a very low re-injury rate. Anytime you sprain an ankle, you tear ligaments to some degree. So the worse you tear that ligament, the less stable your ankle is. He said he doesn't have any ligaments left in his ankle from when he played college sports. But even if they're gone, if you rehab it well, you won't have any issues. Well, I mean, I got to assume Tannehill's rehabbing it well.
Well, I mean, he's an NFL player.
Okay.
Like, he's a starting quarterback in the league.
So it sounds like he could have played Sunday.
But also, to the doctor's point, the varying severity of course, we can assume that Ryan Tannehill is getting a whole heck of a lot of rehabbing.
Sure.
But where was the starting point? Is my question. Was it a low ankle sprain, but it was a bad low ankle sprain, and he is older. He's not old, but he's older, so might be recovering more slowly. So I don't know. I mean, I can't say Tannehill would have been fine to go on Sunday. And I don't know how bad it was.
He would have been immobile. But
Which
I still would have
also concerns me a bit.
I still would have taken an immobile Tannehill over Malik.
Oh, well, duh. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And I think Vrabel's the same way.
Probably so. The only thing that makes me nervous about that is, that might make Vrabel nervous about that or Tannehill nervous about that is if he can't escape pressure, if he can't run away, then do you run the risk of injuring something else? Maybe you don't injure the ankle worse, but, Tannehill gets absolutely blown up because he can't run away from pressure. and he lands on his shoulder funny. Well, now he's got an ankle issue and he's got a broken collarbone, so on and so forth.
Who do you think made the call for him not to play Sunday?
Tannehill.
I do too. 615-737-1025. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Derek has been waiting patiently and is up next. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Derek.
Jared, appreciate the show. You do a great job at engaging your audience, whether they are in agreement with you or not, and I appreciate that. I think I appreciate Caroline being the voice of reason there at the end, and I have to tell you, Jared, I think this is a wildly irresponsible take. The amount of extrapolation and speculation that you're doing about Vrabel and what he thinks, and this doctor said based on the information I have, which is what the information the team has given us, which Vrabel notoriously gives nothing. And maybe they're looking at the division that they're in, right? They can't control if the Chiefs are going to win the rest of their games. They can't. The likelihood of the Titans getting the number 1 seed with Tannehill is less than 25%. Would you agree with that?
No.
So you think it's a better than 25% chance that the Titans would get the number 1 overall seed and get a bye in the first week of the playoffs?
If he had played Sunday, I do.
Okay, so maybe they're looking at the division and saying, okay, 3-5 Indy is number 2 in our division. Even if we lose this Chiefs game, the path to the playoffs goes through winning our division, which appears to be pretty easy. And we don't want Tannehill to injure something else.
So how is your speculation any different than my speculation?
All I'm saying is that there's no other side to your argument. You're saying, hey, Vrabel's a tough guy. He wants him to play. Willie, McNair would have played.
McNair would have played.
McNair would have played. But you can say that, but you don't know. All I'm saying is maybe is it possible that they looked at the division and said, guys, even if we lose this game, even if we lose the next 3 games, we're going to win our division. We've already blanked the Colts. We're going to blank everybody else.
I hear
Jacksonville's
you. Derek,
no good.
Derek, I hear you. Let's discuss it. Thank you for your call. Do we think that they looked at the division, said the division sucks, let's not play Tannehill this week?
I think they could have looked at it that way, yeah.
But do you think they did?
No.
Vrabel knows how big this game was.
Sunday Night Football in Arrowhead, and it's not just the division sucks, we're going to make the playoffs no matter what. We could very much so be competing with Kansas City for home field advantage in the playoffs. And I would much rather the Titans play in Nissan Stadium than Arrowhead in the playoffs.
How big would that game here be?
Huge.
I mean, how big would it be? Like I think they can go to Arrowhead and win because they've done it before.
They almost did with Malik Willis.
They did. They almost did the other night. I don't think if they get matched up in the divisional round of the playoffs against the Chiefs, I don't think they will be intimidated by Kansas City at all. And I think Sunday kind of proved that they won't be intimidated by the Chiefs. But I think that it's a monumental difference to have that game here than it is to have it there. And I think Vrabel knows that. When Vrabel took the job at Vrabel's press conference, his introductory press conference, he said the key is to getting playoff games at home. Now, they have lost 2 in a row at home against the Ravens and the Bengals, and Tannehill has played a more than unspectacular role in those games.
Stinky.
And so, yes, I think this was a big one for Vrabel. And I do think that Vrabel wanted Tannehill out there. And I do think that Vrabel's frustration, you always see, you always get the truest Vrabel after a game, right when he comes off the field. Whether it's last year when they beat the 49ers and he was like, the funeral for the Tennessee Titans has to be delayed for another week. Like, oh, good, Mike.
Yeah.
Or that won't be the case as long as I'm the coach, which is going to be a while.
Long time.
It's like, okay, Mike. And so for him to be like, Ryan didn't play in the game. I'd much rather talk about the guys who sacrificed their lives in this game against the Chiefs.
Did he say they sacrificed their lives?
I think he said they gave everything they had. I think I just
awfully
maybe
dramatic.
made that much bigger or whatever you want to have it. But again, I go back to this, and I will agree with the caller about, you guys are just speculating because Vrabel won't say anything about anybody's injuries. So now you're on the radio speculating. Fine. You want me to not speculate?
I mean, that's kind of what we do. It's kind of our job.
Do you want me to not speculate? I got a real good way for me to not speculate.
Okay, how would you not speculate?
Tell us the truth.
Yep, I think that's fair.
and so
I find it comical that the Titans always get so frustrated with the media whenever we have to just assume things like the Treylon Burks thing. It was is it asthma? Is he overweight? Is it allergies? And the Titans were getting so frustrated. And it's like, well, will you just tell us then?
So Vrabel did that today. Vrabel, Kaharski asked about Cody Hollister's block in the back. And Vrabel, smart-ass Vrabel,
classic,
goes, so Blake Bedingfield, who used to be a scout for the Titans when Floyd was his GM, and then he kind of worked his way up the ranks, and he was like the director of college scouting or pro scout. I can't remember what Blake's title was, but he was there, and then John Robinson took over, and he did that first draft with Robinson, and then Robinson fired him. And he now writes for Paul's website. And so he writes, the Scouts take, and he breaks down the Scout stuff on Paul's website. Well, Paul asked Vrabel about the Cody Hollister block in the back, and Vrabel's like, did you look at that one with your scout, Paul? And it's like the sassiness of Mike Vrabel. It's like, even if I were to take the film to Vrabel and say, hey, can you tell me who screwed up on this one? Mm-hmm. Vrabel wouldn't say anything. He'd be like, oh, we all have to be better. So sorry that we go to outside people like doctors or ex-scouts or ex-coaches or, I'll tell you, I've sent a play that I didn't understand what the hell they were doing. I sent it to Jordan Rodgers one time. I'm like, what are they doing on this play? Because, I don't know, but they're not going to tell us. So if you're not going to tell us, then all we can go off of is what we think. It almost kind of feels like being, a sports radio investigator.
It's kind of sports radio hosts wear a lot of different hats, and detective is one of them.
Well, the backbone of sports radio is first and second guessing the coach.
Yeah.
That is the number one thing. 615-737-1025. Do you think Vrabel wanted Tannehill to play Sunday? I do. And maybe I do because I wanted Tannehill to play Sunday. I don't know. 615-737-1025. We'll get to that with your phones next. Caroline, tell us about the Caesars Sportsbook app.
It is time for the Caesars Sportsbook Report. Now, before we get into the fun stuff, the odds, the spreads, the picks, remember that your first bet is on Caesars up to $1,250. So Caesars Sportsbook has got you covered. Just download the app, use the promo code RADIOFULL, one word, and then wager. And if you win, then congratulations. But if not, you will get that stake back as a free bet. And we've got a lot of NBA games going on tonight. A little parlay boost going on in the Caesars Sportsbook app. Hornets, Mavericks, Knicks, and Raptors all win tonight. Plus 900 odds. So worth putting a little bit of money on that. Open to users in Tennessee who are 21 or older. If qualifying bet loses, bet amount returns as a credit. Most used within 14 days. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. Caesars Sportsbook. You bet, you get.
Thursday night.
And the rebound try, gloved down by Saros.
Your Nashville Predators wrap up a 5-game road trip against the Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche. Pre-game at 7. Face-off at 8 on your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Need cash for the holidays or to pay off credit cards right now? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. This is great. You can keep your low mortgage rate and still get cash out. That's right. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low rate. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan will come your way, and it only costs you around $300 a month. Use that money to pay off whatever bills you have. Credit cards, consolidate other debt, or start a home improvement project. With Loan Pronto, you can access up to 95% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need the appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Do it now before the holidays. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
National Playmakers Academy with former Vols Buck Fitzgerald and James Stone, along with former Austin Peay Governor Vic Wright, offer one of the best football developmental organizations in the nation. MPA has over 30 NFL alumni, 800-plus college football scholarship signees, and 25 high school football All-Americans. If you have a student athlete in middle school or high school that is looking for the best football training and college football recruiting help around, contact National Playmakers Academy today, 615-456-2680, or email april.mpafootball@gmail.com.
Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Hall of Famer and all-time leading rusher with exciting news.
Football legend Emmitt Smith talking about all new regenerative treatments for joint pain from the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics.
But did you know that you can encourage your body to actually heal itself with the help of QC Kinetics?
QC Kinetics uses biologic therapies that are natural, restorative, and long-lasting.
The body is an amazing thing. Trust me, I put mine through a lot.
Exciting new relief is here for pain from arthritis, knee pain, lower back pain, pain in your hips and shoulders.
I'm that guy. When you Google shoulder pain, my face pops up.
But you don't have to be sidelined by pain anymore. Call QC Kinetics to learn more about biologic therapies.
Don't let your joint pain keep you from doing the things you love. There's a new natural solution that patients are raving about.
QC Kinetics.
Let QC Kinetics help you improve your quality of life.
Call QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024.
Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game, live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Jordan Rogers, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
What are the chances of Ryan being able maybe to make a big leap forward as he tries to get back this week?
I'm not going to talk about percentages or leaps.
Not in a mood today, Mike Vrabel.
No leaps.
Not in a mood. Breaking news. Jim Wyatt has posted a video, as has everybody else who covers the team at practice. Ryan Tannehill on the field in the individual portion, taking snaps from the shotgun, throwing the ball, tape on the right ankle. I think he's walking fine. Maybe a little bit of a limp. Can't tell.
That's what I'm looking at the video and I'm thinking, okay, am I overanalyzing it? Or is he actually walking a little gingerly? Maybe a little bit of both.
Now, 2 of the last 3 days, Vrabel's been asked about Tannehill and has gotten short about it. I think Vrabel wanted Tannehill to play on Sunday.
Of course Vrabel wanted Tannehill to play on Sunday. Tannehill plays. Do they win?
Yes.
There you go. Of
Even
course,
Skip
Vrabel.
Bayless has said that if Tannehill plays, they win.
Well, and that feels obvious. You know, you go into overtime, you lose by a field goal, and your backup quarterback was in. That feels obvious. If your starting quarterback played in that game, you would win. So I think Vrabel understands that. He knows that. Of course he wanted Tannehill to play.
So do you think Vrabel's mad at Tannehill? And I have to ask this. If you can practice on the field and go through the whole thing, because if he's in the individual period, he's going through the whole practice. Mm-hmm. If you can practice through the whole thing on Wednesday, but you can't play on Sunday?
But also he can practice on Wednesday without a pass rush.
I know.
And that's different.
Now, the Denver Broncos have the number 2 defense in the league.
Which is odd. Didn't expect that.
Well, they do. Whatever that means. And they just traded their best pass rusher. So make of that what you will. But, again, I think Vrabel should have, or I think Tannehill should have played Sunday. And I think Vrabel feels that way. But maybe that's just my feelings. Let's go to your phone, 615-737-1025. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com.
Josh texts in and says, is Vrabel wanting him to play really a stretch anyways? He knows Tannehill and he knows they would have won. Probably dominated because he knows how good his D is and needs a competent offense.
Oh, my God. I don't think they would have dominated that game. I still think that with Patrick Mahomes, unless you literally dominate it like they did last year, you don't dominate games, but you do feel yourself getting control of the game. And I think the Titans would have had control in the game in the third quarter. I think the fourth quarter would have been kind of a breeze because Kansas City would have been dropping back, throwing deep every play because they would have been down by multiple scores and not 8 points if Tannehill was in there at quarterback. And I go back to the Patriots, because Vrabel can talk all he wants about what he learned in Pittsburgh and what he learned from Urban Meyer at Ohio State and what he learned with Bill O'Brien and the Texans. But Vrabel is who he is because of what happened at the Patriots. He is. And at the Patriots, one of the big keys was when they played Indianapolis every year, they knew they had to win that game because that generally meant home field advantage in the playoffs between the two best teams. He's already lost the Bills game, and so he knows I've got to win this Chiefs game if I want to stay on par with the Chiefs, but B, have the tiebreaker over Kansas City so that game where I have lost it in the AFC Championship game and have not lost to them at Nissan Stadium, and Patrick Mahomes has never won at Nissan Stadium, I can get that game here. And my doctors are telling me that Tannehill has a low ankle sprain and that he can go, and he gets out there on the field, does a couple little tosses, comes up to me and says, I can't go, coach. And I'm like, I'm the one that gets in front of the microphones and says, I love your extreme toughness, Ryan Tannehill. And you're coming to me before this Chiefs game, which could determine who is hosting an AFC playoff game. And you are telling me, and Vrabel would never say this, but I think he's got to be thinking it.
I'm sure he's thinking it.
He would never say it to Tannehill, though.
No. And he would never tell us.
No.
Never.
No.
But I also think, doesn't there have to be a certain element of trust between a coach and a quarterback of if you can't go, if you are telling me, somebody who I think has quote unquote elite toughness, if you're telling me that you can't go, then you can't go.
So that's kind of like the baseball theory, right? Where it's like, you know, with a starting pitcher, you know, if you don't have, you got to come to me and say, hey,
right.
I'm out. You
That's
know,
like,
my arm, I can't pitch anymore. And I think there's a lot of trust between managers and pitchers with that kind of responsibility of, do I need to watch you or can you tell me the truth? At the same time, if the doctors are telling Vrabel that Tannehill can go, this ain't the first sprained ankle Vrabel's seen in his life.
No, not this first sprained ankle those doctors have seen in their lives.
Not the first sprained ankle of a star player on this team that happened on that same day who has played twice since then that Vrabel has seen. So, I mean, this is... Like, this is going to sound, I am disappointed in Ryan Tannehill. If it is, in fact, a low ankle sprain, which all of the evidence points to it being a low ankle sprain, I am disappointed in Ryan Tannehill.
What would have happened, though, and I'm speaking so hypothetically, Tannehill played on Sunday. Tannehill cannot move. Tannehill is just a statue in the pocket. Tannehill gets blown up by the Chiefs' pass rush. Tannehill lands on his shoulder funny. Now he needs shoulder surgery.
Can't play football scared.
I know.
You know, I go back to that Floyd Reese story where they're in New England and they're working on a fumble drill and the defensive linemen are raking at the quarterback's hands. And Floyd goes to Bill and says, you think we should put the ball in Tom's left hand? Because these guys are raking right at Tom's right hand. And if one guy comes down on that, you got to go in front of the press and tell the media that Tom Brady just broke his hand in a drill for defensive linemen to work on fumbles. And all you had to do is put the ball in the left hand. Bill said, can't play football scared.
I know.
And so I think that's...
But there's a certain extent of can't play football scared, and also you can't play football stupid.
But I don't think that's stupid. And I know the line sucks, even though I think the line's getting better. I know the line stinks. And Dennis Daly, even though I think Dennis Daly's doing a good job given the circumstances, he's good for about 2 a game of just letting his guy ride at the quarterback. I mean, about 2 times a game, Dennis Daly's guy, either he bull rushes Daly or he just goes right around him to the quarterback, but it happens about 2 times a game. And I'm sure that probably weighed in on Tannehill's mind because it would have weighed in on my mind. But can't play football scared. I think Vrabel wanted Tannehill out there. Just what I know of Vrabel. 615-737-1025. What does Chris Sanders think about this? He played. We'll ask Chris. Tannehill out 2 weeks in a row, and it was so close. We'll get into that coming up next. TriStar Moving. I love TriStar Moving, even though I hate moving. But I don't hate it as much as I used to, because when I moved 2 years ago, I moved with TriStar Moving, and I was grateful to have movers like TriStar Moving. I was grateful to have friends like Garrett and Robert, the owners of TriStar Moving. They are the best, and they love taking care of their community. They're Nashville guys just like me and you. If you're looking to move, give my friends at TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit their website at nashvillemoving.org/radio, and they'll give you 10% off your entire move. And you all have moved, so you know how expensive that is, and 10% off is a lot of money. Plus, just let me say this. If you're in the process of moving or you know you're going to be moving or something, just get a bid. Get a bid from TriStar. Talk to their amazing sales staff. Get to know them like I have. You will love them. That's TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, nashvillemoving.org/radio. Tell them Jared Stillman sent you for 10% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
2, 3, 4, look out! High school football is here. Join Big Joe Dubin every Friday night at 6 for the Apple Collision Center's Game Blitz, presented by National Playmakers Academy.
Just a small sample of these great coaches in our area.
We'll go around the mid-state for scores and reports on all the big games.
If I'm a high school coach, I want the challenge.
The Game Blitz is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Greg Bovis. Forecast for today starting off cooler by about 10 degrees compared to yesterday. Afternoon beautiful though, middle 70s and partly cloudy. No rain in the forecast until Friday, and then a big cool down takes us into the upcoming weekend.
Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Genesis Diamond's biggest and last sale of the year is coming. November 18th, 19th, and 20th. It's an extraordinary event with savings of 20, 25, up to 35% store-wide. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets. Nothing's held back for this once-a-year, 3-day store-wide sale. Acclaimed designers will be flying in with expanded collections and special pricing. Plus, get 0% interest financing. Luxury pre-owned Rolexes are also included. It's the final store-wide sale of the year with discounts up to 35%. Genesis Diamond, November 18th through 20th only. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Robbie Stanley.
They get a lead in that game and just totally close the door.
Joe Rexrode.
If he plays next year, it's disastrous.
Robbie and Rexrode. Mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
How much practice time do you feel like you would need before you to be able to test it on the practice field before you feel comfortable going out there and playing in a game?
Yeah, I would need some, not a ton. It's just got to get to a point to where I can go do my job effectively and be able to, run the offense, move around enough to not be a statue in the pocket and not put myself, or the ball in harm's way by not being able to move.
That sounds like the highlight, that he felt like he couldn't protect himself with this offensive line on Sunday, and that's why he didn't play. He did practice today, tape on the right ankle. He did not have tape when he came out to do his little throwing session on Sunday before deciding to go inside. I think Ryan Tannehill could have played on Sunday, and as I said, Steve McNair would have played. Chris Sanders joins us now, former Titans receiver, fueled by Parman Energy, now hiring fuel drivers. Visit ParmanEnergy.com. Chris, let's start with this. I think Ryan Tannehill could have played Sunday. Do you think Ryan Tannehill with an ankle sprain could have played on Sunday against the Chiefs if he was practicing today in preparation for the Broncos?
I mean, I think he could have played. I can't really say if he really could have because I didn't know what he did in practice. But if I'm a guy that's a very, very good competitor, I'm going to figure out a way to get in the field. But then I understand what he's dealing with, that he doesn't want to be a statue, in the pocket and not play. But at the end of the day, he's got to make a decision as a professional that if he can help the team or not help the team.
Chris, you played with Mike Vrabel in college.
Yes.
You remember you played against Mike Vrabel in the NFL.
Yeah.
Do you think Mike Vrabel's disappointed in Tannehill for not being able to give it a go Sunday?
I mean, Jared, that's a tough. I'm not saying he's disappointed him. I think maybe concerned because at the end of the day, everybody's beat up, everybody's hurt, everybody has bruises, everybody has an ankle, everybody has something going wrong with him. But I think that he wished he would have played. But let me kind of switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about the difference between him and Simmons. Both of them had ankle sprains. But why did Simmons play, and why didn't Tannehill play? And I just think it has to deal with who can handle the pain the most. And I think that with Simmons, I just think he can handle it at his position. I think Tannehill just couldn't. So, man, that's a tough question to answer. I don't know. Gosh.
Do you think that's the toughest thing with Tannehill?
See, I'm not saying it's a tough thing. It's just that everybody's pain tolerance is different. And I'm not trying to compare him to this guy who I'm about to talk about. Steve McNair, it was a totally different candidate. I'm not comparing him to Tannehill. You could have cut off Steve McNair's arm. He's going to figure out a way to play because he was that mentally tough. I'm not saying Tannehill's not mentally tough. I'm just saying the guy that I play with, Steve McNair, it doesn't matter if he had a sternum. It didn't matter if he had broken fingers. It didn't matter if he had a hurt knee. He was going to figure out on a way to get to play. But the one thing he did that I love that he did is he didn't practice all week. He stayed mentally ready, but there was no doubt in his mind that he wasn't going to play. And Tannehill needs to get to that point.
Chris Sanders is our guest here on the program. Chris, what'd you think of your wide receivers on Sunday dropping the balls? Conley, your guy. Conley down the side. What about your receivers not catching a pass Sunday night?
Okay. First of all, I was saying the exact same thing to you. I mean, you're right. I'm like, man, what the heck is going on? But then wait a minute. I had to go back in 1998 when they were saying the same thing about us. They were saying that these guys can't catch, these guys can't run around, all these things, but it's all about opportunity. They threw the ball 16 times this week. The week before that, they threw the ball 10 times. It's about getting in a rhythm and catching passes. And the thing about it is, if you just throw it up, okay, they both ran 9 routes. If you just throw it up and it's a 50-50 ball and they don't come down with it and everybody's screaming, oh, we need to get some more receivers in. No, it's about opportunities. Let them run a slant. Let them run a hitch. Let them run digs. Don't just throw the ball up with a 50-50 ball and say, okay, he misses it, and all of a sudden he sucks as a receiver. That stuff is awful. And I'm not trying to get all pissed off and everything, but it pisses me off when people look at these receivers and say, oh, they're terrible, and they're only getting one chance a game. If they get 4 or 5 opportunities and say, 4 or 5 opportunities, and they drop 4 out of 5, get their behinds out of here. Get out of here because you're not supposed to be in the league. But if you're getting one chance a game and you drop a ball that's a 50-50 ball and you say he's a terrible receiver, that's garbage. That's nonsense. You need to start look in within and say, you know what? Let me look at the quarterback situation. If he can't throw the ball in the right position, now get his behind out and get somebody else in there. But the one thing he has to do, they need to let him loose. Quit holding his hand, quit saying this, quit saying all that stuff, and let him throw all the route trees. That's what I'm talking about. Don't just put it on the receivers and say, oh, he sucks. I've been through that stuff in 1998. How in the world, when I come in as a rookie in 1995, I don't know why I'm going, in 1995, I make the all-rookie team. I average 23.5 yards a catch. Then all of a sudden we get to 1998, where the quarterback is struggling a little bit, and all of a sudden don't know how to play football. I don't think it's fair to these wide receivers to say that they suck when they're not getting an opportunity.
Do you think that Sunday night proved that if the Titans are going to be competitors in the AFC and end up in the playoffs, which we know they probably will because of the division, that they need another backup quarterback in here to back up Tannehill in case something happens to him in a playoff game so that Malik doesn't have to go out there?
I agree 100%, Jared. I mean, you got to get somebody here. And I thought that the reason why they brought Logan Woodside back is because, maybe he can do that. But the thing about it is, if Logan's been here for a while, but all of a sudden you start the rookie, that means that they don't have trust in Logan. So if Logan's not the guy that you trust in and you're putting a rookie over him, then you got to go find somebody that's been in a position to help you get over that hump just in case Tannehill doesn't come back.
Mm-hmm. Chris Sanders is our guest. I don't almost never do this, Chris.
Yes, sir.
But I did take a moral victory away from what happened Sunday night, in large part because of the failings of the quarterback. I think the defense is elite. I think they proved it against Kansas City on Sunday Night Football. I know they didn't win, but I have a lot better feeling about this football team after what I saw on Sunday. How do you feel about what happened Sunday?
You know what, Jared? That's a great question, man, because these guys care, man. And I'm going to tell you how I know that these guys care. When they did the interviews, and I was watching, because I like to watch the little things that's going on to see if everybody's on board. Look at those guys' eyes. Those guys were almost in tears because they lost. They were almost in tears because they gave everything they got, and they lost. Listen, I understand that the offense is not pretty. I understand that they make mistakes. But when you have guys on this team that cares, you got guys that are getting interviewed that their eyes are watering. Their eyes are like, man, or their emotions are so down because they wanted to win. I believe in this team. And the reason why I believe in this team is because you have a defense and you have offense and you have a coach, you got a general manager that actually cares. And when you have guys that actually care, you can put yourself in the win regardless of the situation.
Well, Chris Sanders, then how does that make you feel about Tannehill when you know that everybody else sacrificed everything they had and Tannehill was probably cleared by the medical staff to play and still didn't?
See, that kind of concerns me right there because I didn't know that if he was cleared and he didn't play, then this is just my opinion. I think that's a problem because if they saying you're cleared, you won't get hurt, all this stuff, then I'm going to figure out a way to play because your team needs you. And I understand on the flip side on how he feels that he doesn't want to be a detriment to the team because he can't make those plays. But at the end of the day, at least give it a try. At least go out there and say, you know what, regardless if I'm hurt, regardless if I'm not 100%, I'm still going to go out there as a leader to give it all I got. And even if you don't finish the game, you're still going to earn the respect of your players.
Has this changed your opinion on Tannehill at all?
No, it doesn't change my opinion. I just wish he would do things a little different. And when I say things a little different, say, you know what, even though I have a little discomfort, instead of me worrying about my discomfort, let me put the team on my back and be the leader that you want to be and is capable of being.
Last one for you. How big is Traylon Burks returning to practice for the Titans?
I think it's huge. I mean, I think, we always talked about him beginning of the season that he can catch those 50-50 balls back shoulder or even catch it at a high point. So even if, I don't know if Tannehill's playing, I don't know if Malik is playing, but he can go out and try to stretch the field and get those deep passes that we need. I mean, we need somebody to do that, but also, we got to give him an opportunity to do that.
Chris Sanders, boy, he was bringing the heat today.
Oh, man, I apologize, man. I'm sorry, man.
Don't apologize. Chris Sanders, you know what radio program this is.
I know,
we
but I
encourage
want
that kind of behavior.
I don't. It just took me back to 1998 because I understand how these receivers feel, and it just, I don't know. It just made me upset a little because these guys are professionals and they're giving their all. And nobody wants to hear they give it their all, but it's about opportunities also.
Wow. Chris Sanders, as always, he'll be with us Sunday for the pregame show.
Great
stuff, Chris. We'll talk Sunday.
Man. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yep, Chris Sanders.
Bringing the heat.
That was some tea from Chris Sanders.
Tea.
Which is crazy because we talked about Tannehill. And, I mean, Chris had some takes on Tannehill there. Chris is the only person other than me that I feel like has kept it 100 about Malik.
About not being ready?
Well, I mean, he's sitting there screaming about the receivers and how it's the quarterback. Now, I think it's a little bit of both. But, I mean, all I've heard is, like, defending Malik, about, oh, well, he's young, and, oh, well, he threw the ball out for Chig. And
that's fine. He is young,
and
he is going to make mistakes, but that's not going to win you football games.
In all fairness, though, Chris Conley got to catch that pass.
Yes, that is the one that I look at, that I watch so many times, and I'm like, am I just being too critical on Malik, or is that a perfect throw?
Derek was talking today about the Westbrook-Akine one, where Malik underthrew it, and Westbrook-Akine had to stop and go up and get the ball. And Derek was like, that's a drop. He gets his hands on it. He's like, you're getting paid 7 figures to catch the ball. I wanted to be like, no, Westbrook-Akine is not getting paid 7 figures.
He's not?
No.
Not even $1 million?
No.
Oh, well.
He's an undrafted free agent. No. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Man, that was some heat from Chris Sanders. I mean, I almost want to just react to that. So that's what we'll do. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones. We'll get to your reaction. We'll reset the news of the day surrounding Ryan Tannehill here on the program. FanDuel Sportsbook is my official sportsbook app. One of the things I love about betting on the NFL is I'm always finding new players or game props that I like. And what's cool about FanDuel is you can combine these props with other bets from the same game to score an even bigger payout. Perfect for the game tomorrow. And we've got a good one tomorrow. Mariota, Deontay Foreman, Atlanta and Carolina, they went to overtime the last time they played. I say over rushing yards for Deontay Foreman, over rushing yards for Mariota, and I do think Mariota will score a touchdown, and Cordero Patterson, anytime touchdown scorer. FanDuel Sportsbook, let it ride. FanDuel Sportsbook. Same game parlay is just one of the reasons you can bet with FanDuel. It's easy to use. They have live betting and fast withdrawals. So when you win, FanDuel pays you your winnings quickly. There's no feeling like nailing a same game parlay. So lock in your same game parlay on the FanDuel Sportsbook today. Right now, new customers get $150 in free bets, win or lose, with the promo code JGM. That's promo code JGM and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the National Football League. 21 and older in present Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued with non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789.
You watch the game.
Sliding across, making the stop, UC Cerro.
We talk the game.
That wraparound goal by Sanford was a beaut. Tanner Janot, Ryan Johansson gets on the board.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture eats strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with three-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
Need cash for the holidays or to pay off credit cards right now? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. This is great. You can keep your low mortgage rate and still get cash out. That's right. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low rate. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan will come your way, and it only costs you around $300 a month. Use that money to pay off whatever bills you have. Credit cards, consolidate other debt, or start a home improvement project. With Loan Pronto, you can access up to 95% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need the appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Do it now before the holidays. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Robbie and Rex Road, Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stillman and Company. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball. We got pass rushes.
Awesome Game 7.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Ryan Tannehill did practice today. There is video up of Tannehill on the football field getting ready to go for the Broncos. Tape on the right ankle. Tannehill met with the media today, said that he was going to try to give it a go on Sunday, but he knew that it was going to have to be a far jump in order for him to go after what he tried to do during the week. Tannehill said that he's had no setback since the Colts game. Tannehill said that surgery is not an option, which indicates that it's probably a low ankle sprain and not a high ankle sprain, which, by the way, just from what we know about Tannehill, the fact that he didn't show up wearing a suit to the game, that he went out there on the field and he didn't have the ankle taped up when he tossed it around with Logan Woodside a couple times, and then he went right to Vrabel and went right in the tunnel and didn't give it a go, seems pretty obvious to me that he never thought he was going to play on Sunday.
Yeah, that all kind of adds up. And especially, too, in warm-ups when he wasn't moving around on the ankle wasn't taped up. He was just standing there, throwing the ball, catching it, not moving his feet at all. Like, it wasn't like he was testing anything out.
So one thing that Chris Sanders brought up, because I asked Chris, I was like, and I was not expecting what we got out of Chris Sanders in the last segment, where Chris Sanders basically said, like, everybody out there is giving it their all for this team. They got guys with tears in their eyes, and Tannehill can't go. Now, I do want to say that it is an assumption that is made by me that he was cleared by the medical staff. But I'm going to assume that he was cleared by the medical staff if he was questionable for the game, he practiced twice during the week, and they let him go out on the field before the game. Mm-hmm. I think it's a safe assumption to make that Tannehill was cleared.
Probably so.
Chris Sanders compares Simmons to Tannehill and says Simmons is tougher than Tannehill because Simmons went out there and played with the ankle. That's some tea. And then when asked about the wide receivers, and I kind of agree with Chris because, I broke down the film, and I didn't think that Malik played very well. For a player in the NFL, for a rookie in his second start and his first big game, that's different than, hey, you got to go beat the Chiefs. You're the backup quarterback of this team that thinks they're contending in the AFC. Two totally different things. Mm-hmm. Chris was not happy with either quarterback, especially Malik, when getting very angry and passionate about how he felt when he played, like the quarterback mistakes sometimes were put on him and the other receivers, and talking about that with Malik. What'd you make of that?
I thought it was bold, but also to his point on Sunday, we talked about this, that the one thing that I really took away from the passing game, and as far as the wide receivers are concerned, and after that game when everyone's saying, well, that's John Robinson's fault for not going to get better wide receivers, I saw that one pass to Chris Conley that was a beautiful pass from Malik Willis that Chris Conley just dropped. And that's on Chris Conley, absolutely. But I don't know how much blame I can really put on the receivers when, one, the ball wasn't thrown very often, and two, the balls that were thrown that weren't caught were kind of 50-50 balls, and that's generous. Mm-hmm. So I agree with Chris that I don't know how much flack we can really give the receivers on this team other than Chris Conley for their performance on Sunday.
Can't they all be true, though? Like, I don't think it's the receivers' fault that the receivers didn't have a catch on Sunday, other than the Conley drop. And Westbrook-Akine could have made the catch. But I don't blame the receivers for the receivers not having a catch on Sunday. Mm-hmm. One, I think the game plan was to minimize throwing.
Which is good.
Two,
I would agree with.
I think Malik, predetermined everything, and everything was a 50-50 ball. Mm-hmm. And the receivers are not 50-50 guys. So if it's a 50-50 ball for a good receiver, it's really a 25-75 ball for the Titans because the receivers aren't that good. And then Malik just missed open guys because Malik, he missed Hilliard on one. He missed Hollister on one. He missed Okonkwo on one. This is not that good at this point. But, man, Chris was fired up. Your reaction, phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com, 615-737-1025. Somebody texted me and said, that is, and Chris is going to not like this when I say this, they said, that is the meanest I have ever heard Chris Sanders.
But that's okay.
Well, that's like, for me, that's, that's mild.
He wasn't even being mean.
No, he's just keeping it real.
He's keeping it real.
And that's when he said he apologized at the end of the interview. He's like, I'm sorry that I came on and I said this. I'm like, Chris,
let it fly.
You know what radio program you're on right now.
Let it fly.
Let it go, babe. What do we have in the text line?
Chad from Chattanooga texts in and says, as a Miami and a Titans fan, I can tell you that I can understand why Tannehill would be hesitant to play. When he tore up his knee in Miami, they cleared him to return with no surgery, and then he immediately tore it again when he came back. Not saying that he couldn't have played, but that could be a factor specifically with Tannehill.
Does anybody tear up their knee and not have surgery on it?
Well, I don't. Is this true?
Does the ACL heal if you don't have surgery on it? That doesn't sound right. Every player that tears up their knee usually has a knee surgery like the next day.
Yeah, I thought with an ACL that surgery's not even a question.
So I was not a Dolphin fan, nor did I keep up with Tannehill's career in Miami.
Yeah,
but
me
what I
neither.
remember is he tore his ACL at training camp. Non-contact. He was running, just tore it. They signed Jay Cutler. He played quarterback for them that season, and they were terrible. And then the next year he came back, Tannehill did, and I think he had a shoulder issue. And Brock Osweiler was his backup and had to start a handful of games, and Brock Osweiler sucked. And so they lost, and then at the end of the year, they moved off of Tannehill. That's, I think, to the best of my knowledge, that's what I remember about Tannehill's lack of availability. But I don't remember Tannehill being an injury concern, though he was when he got here because he had the knee and the shoulder the previous 2 seasons in Miami. But, I mean, I hate to say it to Tannehill, but, like, you know, playing and being tougher, and, like, that's the name of your game. Like, when you're going toe-to-toe with that quarterback, we're not asking you to go throw for 400 yards like he did. We're not asking you to go out there and throw 5 touchdowns. We're not asking you to go shot for shot. We are asking you to show up. We are asking you to make the throws on 3rd and 7. We are asking you to stand in the pocket and take the hits. We are asking you to do those things, and that's why you make $29.5 million. And if the medical staff said you could go and it's just about pain tolerance or it's about mobility, I understand this line sucks, but you heard what Chris said. Didn't stop Jeffrey Simmons. He was able to go, and he's got a bad ankle, and he hurt his ankle in the same game. So I am disappointed.
The quarterback is different.
Shouldn't the quarterback play more?
Think, but also the quarterback just has a different role.
I know, but the quarterback is protected more than any other player on the field.
Ideally.
No, like protected by the refs, especially that ref. I mean, that ref is notorious. Now, Tannehill's not a star, and Clete Blakeman is a star bootlicker, which is why Clete Blakeman gets all those high assignments, because if the league knows that you're not going to let Rodgers or Brady get hurt, then they don't have a problem putting you in a Rodgers and Brady game. And so, I mean, I could be wrong for feeling this way. I am disappointed that Ryan Tannehill didn't play on Sunday.
Would you have been disappointed if the Titans would have won that game?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I didn't send out the tweet that Steve McNair would have played after the game.
No, I know.
I sent it out. What's next?
Kyle texts in and says, Steve McNair is easily my all-time favorite Titan. However, he did play in some games when he shouldn't have, and it ended up hurting the team because of his performance. We have no idea the severity of Ryan's injury, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt if he felt like his performance would be negatively affected enough to hurt the team because of his injury.
I don't know what that texter's talking about games where Steve McNair didn't show up when he played hurt. I don't know what he's talking about, because I know that he didn't practice at all in the 2002 season, and Steve McNair was 3rd in the MVP voting. And then he was just as injured in the 2003 season, and he won the MVP. So I don't know what that texter's talking about. What's next?
One texter texts in and says, all week Ryan Tannehill responded to the media that he would play if he was able to move and protect himself. That was his answer from my memory. I feel like that point is being dismissed on the current ankle injury topic.
Okay, how about this? So we talk about Vrabel looking at Tannehill like this is the Chiefs, and this could be a huge game for the eventual playoffs, and who has home field and who doesn't, and so you should go. But at the same time, does Tannehill, is it not fair to say that Tannehill can look back at them and be like, look at this freaking offensive line you've given me. The left tackle sucks. The left guard sucks. The center's old as hell. The right guard is pretty good. And the right tackle's a rookie and just almost blew my ankle out by rolling into me. So you want me to go with those guys in front of me when they stink? Is it fair for Tannehill to be able to feel that way of, if I can't run with these guys, Chris Jones is going to eat me up because these guys in front of me are terrible?
Yes, I think that's fair. It's a fair concern. Is it fair enough to keep you out of a game?
Yeah.
And that, I think those are two different conversations.
Right.
And then it also depends on the severity of the ankle.
But I understand, like, Tannehill, you would never want to say it if you're Tannehill. Like,
no,
you would never say to the coach, like, sorry, coach, I'm not playing this week.
Line
These guys
sucks.
suck.
But I understand the thought process of, man, like, I have been getting just beat up this season, and that's with being able to protect myself with my legs. If I have to take that element away and I'm just a sitting duck, I mean, like, what could happen? Like, I understand Tannehill's fear there. Does that justify not playing? Not really.
615-737-1025. We will get back into your phones. 615-737-1025. So last night, I told myself I was not going to watch any election coverage because it would only either make me mad or happy or whatever you want to call it. And so I was like, I'm not going to watch election coverage. I'm going to watch a hockey game tonight. I don't know, 8 minutes into the game, 13 minutes into the game, I was like, no more hockey. That was a horrendous performance from the Predators last night. I think it's now been enough horrendous performances for us to be legitimately concerned about the team. Let's get to that next. What I thought was an unmitigated disaster on national TV last night, and that is what we will talk about. 615-737-1025. Speaking of the Preds, when they have a weekday game this season, it's your chance to participate in Preds Pick to Click, brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty and Superbook Sports. If you guess a Preds player that scores a goal in the game that night, you win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. Your next chance to participate is tomorrow morning at 8:45 with Robbie and Rexroad.
Your home for the MTSU Blue Raiders is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Every touchdown.
Yes! Touchdown!
Every three.
Free ball! Yes, sir!
It all lives here.
Middle Tennessee!
You can also hear the Blue Raiders in the Borough on 97.5. Middle Tennessee Athletics on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. Being arrested doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. Being served with custody paperwork doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. It may feel that way. But if you have Amanda J. Gentry representing you, you can feel confident that you're going to have the best quality representation in all of Middle Tennessee. Amanda J. Gentry goes wherever justice demands. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
When you want to rock.
Let's go, don't wait. This night's almost over. Do all the monsters come out at night? Why do we sleep when we want to?
We are Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz.
The final matchup of the Tennessee basketball team's 3-game series with Colorado is coming to Nashville. Don't miss the Tennessee Volunteers versus the Colorado Buffaloes at Bridgestone Arena Sunday, November 13th. Be there to witness your Volunteers in action as they look to run their all-time record against Colorado to 5-0. Sunday, November 13th, Bridgestone Arena. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Presented by Red Cap.
Harman Energy is now hiring drivers for their Nashville team. Harman Energy is Tennessee's petroleum solution for major industries. Right now, they're offering competitive compensation. Fuel tank wagon drivers start at $26 an hour. Fuel transport drivers, $29 an hour. Plus, there's a $4,000 sign-on bonus for CDL drivers. Top quality benefits and a great place to work, Harman Energy employees provide totally outrageous customer service. Come be an employee owner with the Harman team. Apply now at HarmanEnergy.com.
This segment of ESPN 102.5 The Game is brought to you by Train Heating and Cooling Systems. Tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together. Visit traininfo.com to find your local independent train dealer. Traininfo.com. It's hard to stop a train.
Signs First, Nashville's leading locally owned and operated sign and physical media company, has been supporting local community organizations for over 30 years. Signs First offers a 10% discount to all churches, nonprofits, and charities. Go to sfnash.com.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Andre Burakovsky, new member of the Kraken, signed a 5-year deal coming from the Avs this offseason. Eberle slapped on, scores. May have hit a stick on the way in. It's 1-0 Kraken, 38 seconds in. Jordan Eberle gets the goal. 2-on-1 for the Kraken. Burakovsky on the right. Geekie on the left. One-timer saved by Saros. Left to right to Rob Geekie. And then the Kraken score. They recycled up high. And Will Borden risks it home. 2-0 Kraken, 12:31 left in the first. Strand blocked it. He's going to try and pounce on it. He beats Jones there, and Gross recovers well. Jordan Gross got back. Niederreiter helps him. Turned over. Wenberg in tight. Pass in front, and the Kraken score. Burakovsky got the pass to Saros' right. Saros was down, and Burakovsky outweighted him. 3-0 Kraken. 4:44 left in the first. Preds down 3-0. 3:41 left in the first. McDonough hit from behind the goal. Gives it to Eberle, and he scores. Turnover in a bad spot. 4-0 Seattle. 3:35 left in the first.
Good job, Max. Way to go, Maxers. All right. That is the only positive I have of that game. My God, last night was an embarrassment on national television by the Nashville Predators. And I got to tell you something. I think we've played enough games now to keep it real here. This team stinks.
It's really not great.
They stink. Their players aren't good. The coach, apparently this is a theme with him. You know, you go back to the New Jersey days where if you pull up the 2019 New Jersey Devils season, it's like loss, 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 win, loss, loss, win, win, loss, 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 win, loss, win, loss, 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 win, loss, loss, fired.
So a lot of losses with a couple of wins sprinkled in there.
Just sprinkled in there a little bit.
Kind of what it feels like right now with the
Which is
Predators.
exactly what it is like right now with the Predators. Team stinks. I mean, and I'm not just saying that as like the overreactive Jared Stillman. Team gets embarrassed on TV. You know, this team, but I'm not even mad. You know what I mean? Like, I'm at a point where.
Are you past mad?
I am starting to become more apathetic by the game.
That's worse than mad.
Probably so. I mean, I think back to last season when they lost to Colorado. And it was obvious they fell apart at the end of the season, and they got matched into Colorado. And I said it when Saros got hurt. I said, here come the excuses. They'll say we didn't have our goalie, and that's why we lost, when they could have had freaking Chris Osgood in his prime, Dominic Hasek, or one of those guys out there, and it wouldn't have made a freaking difference because Colorado was that much better. And the Predators, you know, get smoked in that series. And it's like, well, Colorado was good, and we felt like we're there, and I just didn't buy it. And I told you all at the time, after they lost to Colorado, I said specifically that I felt like the Predators had no choice but to move on from David Poile and John Hines. And when I said they had no choice, I didn't mean that they absolutely positively have to get rid of those guys or else the franchise will cease to exist. That's not what I meant. What I meant was if they make the other choice of bringing them back, nothing will change and it will be the same and nobody will believe in them anymore. And that is what is happening. That is what we are seeing. This team is not good. They do not have good enough veteran players to compete with the best teams. You want to say, well, Matt Duchene scored 40 goals last year. Yeah, for the first time ever. Philip Forsberg scored 40 goals last year for the first time ever. They had 3 career seasons. Plus, Saros played great. And now Saros doesn't even have a .900 save percentage. This team is awful. And not only that, the guys they acquired have been awful. Have you watched Ryan McDonough? Oh, my God. Is he cooked or what? I mean, Ian, how many goals in that first period were Ryan McDonough's fault last night? 3?
I don't know. Maybe one sticks out in particular.
I mean, the one where they went just right around. I mean, that
was pretty awful.
Well, he had a turnover. At one point, they were trying to, he was trying to do too much, tried to make a move up the middle, lost it, and it was giveaway.
I mean, it's a mess, and they have no good young players. They have no good young players. Remember last year they were like, we've got some good young players because, Tomasino, he's our guy. We believe in Tomasino. And it's like, okay. And now Tomasino's in Milwaukee. And they said, well, he's going down to Milwaukee because we don't have a spot for him on the roster in the top 6 because Kiefer Sherwood is going to play there. And then 2 weeks later, when they realized that he sucked, they cut him. And so now they have a spot in the top 6, and they keep trying out Cody Glass, who, how many times have we talked about? No more Cody Glass. Every time they talk about this guy, like he's got some kind of future. They talk better about Cody Glass, who got drafted 5 years ago and hasn't done anything in the NHL. They talk more about him than the Titans talk about Caleb Farley. I mean, it's crazy. It is crazy talk. And last year, I remember Carrier made the all-rookie team. I'm like, this guy sucks, guys. Like, he's awful. They need to trade him because his value will never be higher because he stinks, and he made the all-rookie team, and freaking all the Bobos got so mad at me about you don't know what you're talking about, and now they're scratching Carrier because he stinks. I mean, it is a mess. They trade for guys like Jeremy Lozon that everyone's like, why the hell would you do that? No. You don't understand. And then I watched 4 goals in the first period last night to a team that's in their second year of existence. I mean, guys, this team stinks. Like, I do not see a light at the end of the tunnel with this team right now. I don't see, like, where, okay, they'll play better because that's what they do with John Hines is they have one half of the season that's always really, really bad and then one half of the season that's really, really good. So they'll probably be horrendous until December 15th, and then they'll get good enough to just make the playoffs, and then they'll get waxed in the first round because they don't have the players to compete with the good teams. But, I mean, in all seriousness, like, it's I don't see it. I do not see it, and like last night was embarrassing on national TV. And I know the fans don't feel the same way I feel about this. Like, cause I mean, I love my hockey team, but I am becoming more apathetic by the day. I am becoming more apathetic because they're not going to do anything about it.
And one thing that I remember that I take away from John Hines and David Poyle's press conference at the end of last season was the optimism for this season because they believed that they were going to get another career year out of the players that they got career years out of last year, Forsberg, Duchesne, so on and so forth. And also pairing that with the development that they felt that these young players were going to make. Tomasino, Glass, Tolvanen, they're not getting either right now.
All those guys suck.
Your good players aren't playing well. And your young players, the developmental players, what John Hines is known for, developing players, don't look very developed.
They have a first pair defenseman yesterday, Jordan Gross. I've never heard of this guy. Ian, am I supposed to know who this guy is?
Who? I'm sorry?
Jordan Gross.
No.
I mean, he's on the first pair. I mean, and here's the thing that bothers me is, to your point about the end of the year press conference. Uh-huh. Correct me if I'm wrong in paraphrasing it this way. This was the end of the year press conference. Guys, we promise we'll be good next year. We promise we'll put together a team. We promise this guy can coach. We promise we're going to be good next year. Is that not paraphrasing what that 2-hour press conference was basically like?
It wasn't 2 hours.
Hour and a half.
It was not an hour and a half. It was like an hour. It was long. But I would say that's probably pretty fair, that it was a lot of next year's going to be better. We know next year's going to be better. We're going to compete next year.
This team is horrible. This team is horrible. And I watched, and I have not said this about this team while they've been struggling. And Hal Gill comes on every week, and I yell at Hal. And Hal, boy, he, talks about how they're just misfiring. That's it. Just misfiring. Remember last week?
Yep.
And so, I mean, how many times I watch the TV broadcasts when I'm watching the games, and every period, I feel like Chris Mason says on the TV broadcast, this is the period where they have to really bear down and they have to decide if they're going to go out there and be the better team this period and play their game and play physical and show it. And I'm like, Chris, we've been trying that for 9 periods in a row. What do you think period 10 is going to be like?
Well, he's not wrong. It should be the period where the team starts to bear down and starts to get tough.
Didn't happen period 7. Didn't happen period 8. Didn't happen period 9. But here we go. I mean, what's crazy is they won the other night against Vancouver. Mm-hmm. I mean, I turned the game on after football was over. It was 3-0 Vancouver in the first period. I texted Ian. I'm like, this team is terrible. And I turned it off and I went to bed. I woke up, saw they won 4-3. That Vancouver team is horrendous. The St. Louis team that they beat a couple weeks ago
is horrendous.
They're awful. So they can beat the really, 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 really bad teams. Like Vancouver, they're wearing like paper bags over their heads. They're so bad. That's all they can do. I mean, this team, and every time they lose a game, there's no anger. It's just like either we thought we played well and we deserved to win, but we didn't win, or we got to start playing better, or, yeah, nobody here's happy about it. But, I mean, it's awful. I mean, it's awful. And again, when it happens, like if this had happened 3 years ago, I'd have gone freaking crazy about that first period last night. Freaking nuts. My thought last night was, well, if the game's going to start at 9 o'clock, at least have it be over by 9:18 and I can get on with my life.
It was.
And that's exactly what happened last night. And so, I mean, I wish I could tell you, if this were a standard franchise, I mean, we would be on Coach Watch right now. If this were a regular NHL franchise, we would be on Coach Watch. And I don't think Coach is the number one problem around here. Now, I don't think he's doing anything to make it better. And I think this is kind of his history, is that he'll have one half of the season that is awful and unwatchable, and he'll have one half of the season where they win every night. But with a regular team, with a regular franchise, with an ownership that, they would get mad about this kind of stuff, we'd be on Coach Watch because something would have to change. But I don't feel like we're on Coach Watch here. I mean, what Laviolette did to get fired was way not as bad as what we're looking at right now. And, I mean, certainly, again, I know David has accomplished a lot in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, what's up with this? Every year it's, a promise about they'll get better. And they go out and they sign 2 B-level free agents, although McDonough, man, he sucks right now. I don't. You talk about maybe getting fucking, whoops. You sorry. You talk
That's
about,
when you know you're mad.
That never has that ever happened since you've been here?
Yeah, one time.
With me?
Yeah.
So talk about just getting freaking, just hoodwinked on a trade. Like, is this dude done? Like, is McDonough done? McDonough? Like, is that what we're looking at?
Good one. I mean, when the Preds acquired McDonough, we all kind of assumed that he was at the tail end of his career.
But not the end of it, the tail end, not like
not the
credits.
Not like, okay, Pawpaw, it's time to hang it up.
Yeah, right.
But that's kind of what it feels like right now.
Like they got Matt Ryan. Like, oh my goodness. Well, I guess I can't say I'm apathetic anymore. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Wow. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get to your Preds calls. I see them lined up. So I guess people are upset about this. 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, I'm Matthias Ekholm, and this is Smashville.
Ekholm, his shot, he scores! Matthias Ekholm gets the Predators' third of the night.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Hey, it's Hutton for the Low T Center. Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Schedule your complete health assessment at Low T Center. They now offer the convenience of monitored self-injected home testosterone treatments for $155 a month cash pay or covered by most health insurance. If you don't live near a Low T Center or you just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy to get started. Only your first 2 visits are in person. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
2 icons, one night. Billy Joel, Stevie Nicks. Friday, May 19th, Nissan Stadium. Tickets on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at livenation.com. Together in Nashville for the first time ever. Don't miss Billy Joel and Stevie Nicks.
Now is a fantastic time to sell in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. And no one has better intel than the Gary Ashton team. You may be wondering, what is this intel I keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel on where to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Everyone else is getting the same information and competing for the same properties. GaryAshton.com gives you the edge with the best real estate intel in Nashville. No one else even comes close. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate agent for the Preds. Get the confidence to sell your home and find your dream address without the stress. Call the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage today at 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
Calling all sweet tooths, head to Nashville Toffee Company, a place where rich chocolatey daydreams are created from a secret family recipe generations in the making. Their toffees and candies are handcrafted in Nashville using all natural kosher certified ingredients. Sweet creamery, butter, pure cane sugar, premium roasted nuts, deep rich chocolate, and sea salt. Visit NashvilleToffeeCompany.com or drop by their headquarters on Air Lane Drive for a positively hassle-free shopping experience. Whether you are buying for 1 or 100, Nashville Toffee Company is here to make your holiday gift giving easy.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game, live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Greg McElroy, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
How do you assess that one today?
Well, it got away from us in the first. We had some tough decisions that we made that gave up some easy offense, whether that was decisions up ice that created some odd man rushes. We had a couple breakout turnovers that wound up right on their tape and right in the slot. So, that's not how we want to be able to play in the first period for sure.
There you go, John Hines. We let it get away from us early. Yeah. 4-0.
We saw.
4-0 in the first 18 minutes or whatever it was of the game last night. I did promise your phones. 615-737-1025. One quick thing, though. I do want to go over, the beginning of John Hines' final season. And I think Coach probably doesn't help matters around here. I don't think he's ever done it. Every time you talk to somebody with the Preds, it's like, this guy is such a great coach. And I'm telling you that you don't understand how good of a coach this guy is. He is a great coach. And that may be true. I don't know, but I don't see it. And he's never accomplished anything. But remember, Chris Mason came on the show after the season to yell at me about how I said, oh, yeah, John Hines is doing exactly in Nashville what he did in New Jersey. That's not obvious. That the results don't matter. What was it? David Poyle a couple weeks ago was like, yeah, it's not the coach's fault for winning and losing. And so
whose is it then?
His. But this was John Hines the last year in New Jersey. John Hines to start the season. Loss, 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 win, win, loss, 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 win, win, loss, loss, win, loss, win, win, loss, loss, win, loss, win, loss. And then loss, 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 loss.
Oof.
Isn't that kind of what we're looking at right now?
What was it? Win in Europe, and then loss. Beat
Win.
the Blues.
Loss. Beat Calgary. Come back against Vancouver. 4-0 in the first period. And not only that, they're getting killed in these games too, by the way. Edmonton killed them. Last night they got killed. At the beginning of the Vancouver game, which I know they won, they got killed. Come on, guys.
Win, loss. Win, loss, win, loss. It does sound very eerily similar.
And any other place we'd be on coach watch. And I'm not saying they should fire the coach. My thing from last year stands, that I want new management for the whole team. But, I mean, I'm not saying coach is why this team is so bad, but somebody's got to take the blame.
And do we subscribe to the belief? Because I heard Elliot Friedman say this on the midday show. I believe it was last week.
Oh,
He
that
said
got me all triggered.
about, you just gave the coach an extension. And that's not what good franchises do, is fire a coach after an extension. But do we fully subscribe to that belief?
I would say it like this. I think good franchises don't fire coaches after they hang banners in back-to-back years in the arena. And good coaches don't extend coaches that don't win, which apparently they do around here.
Well.
Mike, phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Thank you for calling. What you got, Mike?
Hey, guys. So I've been in the same camp, Jared, where, I think it's time for new management. I'm with you on that with the Preds. My problem, and again, this is just a theory, is do you think that the Predators are consistently being okay with just being okay because they're worried that if we actually go into tank mode and we start to lose, and almost on purpose, you sell your team and you put out the AHL squad, are they worried that the fans aren't going to show up because this town's just not used to losing? Because it's going to take us getting to that point to get us the top tier talent that we miss, because we just don't have any money to spend because we're wasting our money on these B-level guys that suck.
So I don't think so. First of all, I think, good call, Mike. I think that I believe that they will always have people in the building. That, one, Nashville is a good enough destination that even if the team is horrendous, when they play the Flyers, people will come. When they play the Blues or the Blackhawks or those teams, even though we don't like it, there will be a bunch of visiting fans in there to buy the popcorn and drink the beer and all those kind of things. Secondly, I think that, Preds games are still a fun thing to do, so people are going to keep going to games. So I don't think the attendance is that big of an issue. This is just my opinion. Let me preface this. I think Herb Fritch wants to win, but I don't think it's a demand, if that makes any sense.
Like a Jim Irsay type of owner feeling?
We got to go out there and win all these because we're the Colts and we had Peyton Manning and we won those games. And I don't want Jim Irsay to own the Predators. Make no mistake about that.
Jim Irsay voice gets significantly more Scooby-Doo-esque as time goes on.
He gets more Scooby-Doo-esque as time goes on. But, I just don't think it's a demand from Herb Fritch. I think about it when I played high school sports. And my parents wanted my team to win, but I'm not sure my parents, I'm not sure that it changed my parents' life if we didn't win, if that makes any sense.
They weren't one of those parents?
No. And that's just how I feel about Herb Fritch. I like Herb Fritch, but when I asked him the one time that he spoke when they sold the team, I asked him about David, and he was like, well, David's our hockey expert. And the way that it felt to me was David can do no wrong, and that will never change. And it's if that's the case, then get used to having no forwards come up your minor league system, because he's only been GMing for 25 years, and you've never had a good forward come up your minor league system. So why would you have a good forward come up your minor league system now? The sad part is that, David, at least for all those years, could draft defensemen. Whether it was Seth Jones or Shea Weber or Ryan Suter or Roman Josi or Martin Zidlicki or whatever. And now it's Fabro and Carrier. Gosh, Jordan Gross, who played last night. So I guess that's a lot. I don't think, I even forget what the caller said. I don't think that the ownership is, I think it's a good thing to not have an owner like Jim Irsay.
And that's what I was going to say. Sometimes, you have to have a good balance there of ownership that doesn't meddle into the football or the hockey operations too much, because they are traditionally not football or hockey people. Jerry Jones meddling into the Dallas Cowboys organization sometimes isn't always a positive thing.
But sometimes, we need a little accountability around here.
Yeah.
A little, hey, don't make me do the Baker Mayfield thing.
What Baker Mayfield thing?
Everything that's happened to Baker Mayfield since the last time the Predators won a playoff series.
Oh.
So the last time the Predators won a playoff series was the week before the NFL draft in 2018.
This puts it in a really bad perspective.
Where Baker Mayfield was the number one pick in the NFL draft. Since then, since the Predators last beat the Colorado Avalanche in 2018, Baker Mayfield was drafted number 1 overall by the Browns. He had a head coach, Hugh Jackson. He had an offensive coordinator, Todd Haley. They both got fired. Baker won Rookie of the Year. That coach then got fired. They brought in Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. Baker started doing ads and became a national spokesperson for Progressive. Baker Mayfield got booed by his home fans. Baker Mayfield ended up getting that coach fired, Freddie Kitchens. They went out and they got another coach. Baker Mayfield had to endure a global pandemic in which he still did ads for Progressive. Then they won the first playoff game in 20 years in Cleveland. Then Odell Beckham's senior put out a video about how bad Baker Mayfield was. He got booed again by his own fans. He suffered a torn shoulder. He ended up playing through that torn shoulder. They then decided to dump him in order to move on to a guy who was facing 24 sexual assault allegations. Baker then decided he was going to leave the organization. He got traded to Carolina. That coach got fired. And Baker Mayfield is now on the bench backing up a guy from the XFL, which did not exist when the Predators last won a playoff series.
When you put it into that perspective, it's depressing.
Like, we want to win.
Last time the Predators won a playoff series, I was still using a fake ID.
The last time that the Predators won a playoff series, Joe Burrow was at Ohio State.
That's true. That is true.
Like, come on. What else we got? The text line, 615-737-1025.
One texter texts in and says, you should be happy you wanted them to stink to get a higher first-round draft pick.
I mean, in all seriousness, sure. But it's like, who's doing the drafting? Are they going to go out and get a high-end forward, or is it going to be the same drafting they've been doing, which is Fiala, who apparently is a pretty good player, just can't play here, or Fabro, or Tomasino, or Tolvanen, or all these guys they draft in the first round. I mean, it's like John Robinson's making the picks for the Predators in the first round. It's bad. What's next?
Another texter texts in, says tickets aren't selling and haven't been able to give away tickets. I had my tickets in the third row, the 300 level, posted for $30 for Saturday night against the Caps, and they didn't sell. Crowds have been thin compared to past years, especially on Saturday nights.
I don't know if that's true or not about the not selling for $30. He would know, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to look at Ticketmaster.
That's something. Again,
but it's something that even if you just compare the 2021 playoffs to the 2022 playoffs, I mean, that's my only sample size is those two playoff games. And the games against Carolina were electric. It was loud. The crowd was rowdy. I mean, it was tough to get tickets. And then against the Avs last year, it just felt like a February game against the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah. It is what it is. 615-737-1025 is the phone number, 615-737-1025. An official update on Ryan Tannehill. We'll get to that next. And again, it's still not totally adding up. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 the game.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
He looks like 1,000 quarterbacks I've seen in a college game.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company.
The coaching staff kept him and got rid of the other guys.
They'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
If he's so great in the locker room, then give him a coaching gig.
Chad Withrow is presented by Two Rivers Ford. Custom order your new Ford from Two Rivers Ford on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Greg Bovis. Forecast for today starting off cooler by about 10 degrees compared to yesterday. Afternoon beautiful though, middle 70s and partly cloudy. No rain in the forecast until Friday, and then a big cool down takes us into the upcoming weekend.
Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
312 Pizza Company is the official sponsor and location of Southeastern Carolines with Caroline Fenton.
Can you beat Vegas this football season? Hey, it's Chase McCabe for Superbook Sports. Superbook gives you the chance every week to go head-to-head with the best odds makers in Las Vegas. No fancy computer algorithms, no guys across the pond setting lines for American sports, just the best team of odds makers in the business behind the counter at the Superbook in Las Vegas. Plus, Superbook features some of the best odds boosts and promo bets anywhere. So download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com and start your battle against Vegas right now. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Hey, it's Big Joe on the go. Look, I get it. Nobody likes being in a car accident, but when that happens, make it easy on yourself and call Apple Collision Centers so you don't have to stress. They're locally owned with 3 convenient locations in O'Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Apple Collision Centers managers combined for 60-plus years experience, and they only recommend original equipment parts on your vehicle. So, if you're in need of a repair today or down the road, just head over to Apple Collision Centers. Stan and his team will take great care of you. Online, applecollisioncenters.com.
What's up, Nashville? Jeremy here at Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars. We are a trendy, upscale, full-service bar and cigar lounge in the heart of downtown. 2 blocks from Bridgestone Arena, Ryman Auditorium, and Nissan Stadium. Come check out the best old-fashioned in Nashville and let my excellent staff create your next luxury experience. With our state-of-the-art ventilation system and imported leather furniture, make us your next stop for a night out on the town. Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars. We are luxury redefined.
Middle Tennessee football is back in action at home on Saturday, November 12th. The Blue Raiders will take on Charlotte in our 40th annual Salute to Veterans and Armed Forces football game. Kickoff is set for 2:30 p.m. inside Floyd Stadium. Come early and join in on the festivities honoring our veterans. To purchase tickets or for more information, visit goblueraiders.com/tickets. Middle Tennessee, we are Blue Knighted.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics wants to thank their patients for voting them the #1 orthopedic practice in the Nashville Scene Poll for 3 years in a row. Their physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, and other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they adhere to all CDC guidelines for the patient's and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all physicians, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
Robbie Stanley.
To avoid non-contact injuries and not repeat last year,
Joe Rexroad.
Just wait until next year's national TV schedule comes out.
Robbie and Rexroad. Mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
What are the chances of Ryan being able maybe to make a big leap forward as he tries to get back this week?
I'm not going to talk about percentages or leaps.
There you go, Vrabel. Not having any part of it.
No percentages, no leaps.
No leaps. No leaps.
Not a single leap in this house.
Ryan Tannehill was officially limited today at practice. Jim Wyatt, as does a lot of others, has the video of Tannehill out there throwing the football around with a little tape on the right ankle. Tannehill said that, this is something that he's going to have to deal with for a while and that he's very frustrated with it, said that has had no setbacks and surgery was not an option. According to the Titans injury report, are you ready for this?
Yes.
Zach Cunningham, elbow, did not practice. Bud Dupree, hip, did not practice. By the way, seriously with the Bud and the hip, let's go, Bud. Amani Hooker, shoulder, did not practice.
Oh.
Jeffrey Simmons, ankle, did not practice. But he'll play, so, it's Tier Tart, illness, did not practice. Josh Thompson.
So all these illnesses.
Hey, man, it's getting sick season.
I need people to take their vitamin C.
Got to get their flu shots.
That is true.
Josh Thompson, knee, did not practice. Danico Autry, not injury-related, limited, i.e., take half a day.
I don't really feel like it today.
Aaron Brewer, toe, limited. Christian Fulton, hamstring, limited. Derrick Henry, not injury-related. Take a day off, Derrick.
That's Derrick, yeah. Thanks for your
Dontrell
contribution.
Hilliard, groin, limited. Lonnie Johnson, back, limited. David Long Jr., knee, limited. Kevin Strong, defensive alignment, ankle, limited. Ryan Tannehill, quarterback, ankle, limited. Fullback Torrey Carter, neck, full participation. So at least they get Torrey Carter back.
Is that the longest injury report ever in the history of the NFL?
No, it's not even the longest injury report in the history of the Titans. I mean, those 2002 teams, those teams were freaking tough. Those teams were for Eddie George, Steve McNair. And if you got an Eddie George and a Steve McNair where everybody plays and not like Tannehill where it's like, I thought I'd try to give it a go and I couldn't give it a go even though it's an ankle sprain and Jeffrey Simmons has the same ankle sprain and he's giving it a go. When you have that, it's kind of like everybody else has to play. Because if Steve McNair's going to play, then you need to play too. if Eddie George is going to play with a separated shoulder for a playoff game at New England,
you can get over it.
You need to go play.
Yeah.
So Tannehill's officially limited as far as that's concerned. Something bothered me today that Tannehill said. Maybe I'm being too critical of Tannehill, but so again, we have determined through all the evidence that has been given to us and witness testimony that it's a low ankle sprain for Tannehill. Just like it's a low ankle sprain for Jeffrey Simmons. It's not a high ankle sprain. You know, it's not a broken fibula. They're not going to have surgery. Tannehill said that. But the one where Tannehill was talking about his daily schedule today, he was asked about what that's like as he's been rehabbing. And honestly, his answer bothered me. This is what Ryan Tannehill said today when asked about his daily schedule.
What have your days been like over the last couple of weeks, as far as rehabbing goes and studying film? Like when you're inside, how many hours are you working at it?
A lot. I don't know. Haven't sat back and counted, but it's a lot. Starts at between 6 and 6:30 in the morning, and I'm here until 7:30 at night. So, included in all that time is the rehab, is meeting, is practice, or whatever my version of that is part of my rehab process. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. A lot of different little treatments and rehabs and modalities that we're using. But just trying to take it day by day and then get a little better every day.
Let me preface this by saying this is none of my business. But in all seriousness, shouldn't he be there earlier? Shouldn't he be staying later? Like if you've got an ankle and you've got all these modalities and you're doing all this rehab and, you should be spending the night in the training room. That's what happens when you make $29.5 million and it's an injury where you're medically cleared to play and now it's dealing with the pain of it. Mm-hmm. You should be in the training room all the time. You shouldn't be going home at 7 o'clock at night. Plus, isn't that kind of the schedule for an NFL quarterback anyways during the season? You get in at 6 a.m., you get your lifts in, you go to the meetings, you have the offensive meeting, you have the quarterbacks meeting, you meet with the receivers, you talk with the coaches, you go out to practice, you watch the practice tape, you go over the practice tape, you go over the next day for practice, what you want to do, what you're installing the next day, and you leave at 9 o'clock at night. Isn't that what most quarterbacks do I'm sorry. Are we just doing what we're supposed to do, or are we doing everything we can do to get on the field for Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs?
I have to imagine he is doing everything he needs to do to get on the field Sunday night against the Chiefs.
I would think so, but not if he's going home at 7 o'clock.
I don't know what a regular schedule would look like for both a healthy quarterback that is playing on Sunday or a quarterback that's rehabbing. I honestly, admittedly, don't know what that looks like.
Brady Brady gets home at 11 o'clock at night, and that's when he's healthy. And I don't know if he's ever healthy because, he's always doing the TB12 workouts.
The weird, the holistic, whatever.
Yeah, but hey, he doesn't miss games. But, for Tannehill to be like, I'm working so hard. I get there at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, isn't that when every quarterback gets in? Isn't every quarterback? There used to be this story that Cliff Kingsbury and Brady would race each other to the Patriots facility in the morning. Mm-hmm. And that, if Cliff got there at 4:30, then Brady would start getting there at 4:20 because Brady would be mad if Cliff Kingsbury beat him there. He was the backup quarterback to Brady at the time.
Yeah.
And then Willie McGinnis had his seat right there by the door in the locker room, supposedly. And that when you walk in, you'd have to walk by Willie McGinnis, and it would be 6 in the morning, and Willie McGinnis would be like, good afternoon. That was the kind of mentality they had. Tannehill's hurt. He's getting in at 6 o'clock in the morning. Shouldn't he be in there earlier? Shouldn't he be getting the treatments earlier? Shouldn't he be getting the treatments later? Shouldn't he be sleeping overnight? Shouldn't he be staying in the training room so that those, because I remember when I worked in women's basketball, I remember when we had players that would spend the night to try to work on ankle sprains, hip injuries, knee injuries, that they would spend the night with the trainers, and the trainers make a lot more money in the NFL than they do in women's basketball, and Tannehill makes roughly $29.5 million more than those players made, and he's going home at 7 o'clock, and maybe I shouldn't be upset about it, but I'm like, dude, come on. Give your team every chance you have to win. That's all I'm saying.
And, maybe that's naive of me to say, but I feel like he probably is.
Chris Sanders didn't feel that way.
No, he didn't.
615-737-1025 is the phone number, 615-737-1025. The Titans need help at wide receiver. Now, they may be getting some, but there's also somebody else they could go get We'll discuss Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Let me tell all the fine folks out there, again, as we get super excited to tell everybody about everything all the time. But here on the program, let me tell all the fine folks about the pregame show this Sunday live from Sonny's Patio Pub and Refuge, located at 1322 6th Avenue North in Germantown. Join me, Chris Sanders, and Derek Mason from 9:30 to 11:30 prior to the Titans and the Broncos. The pregame show is brought to you by TriStar Moving, Parbin Tractor and Equipment, Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, Superbook Sports, and Ounce of Hope Cannabis Company.
You love the game.
Tennessee touchdown! Middle Tennessee gets the score.
We live the game.
Just work on the little things every day.
They think the coaches are just coaches.
We are.
We got pass rushers.
Checkered flag in the air.
Awesome game 7.
What a stop made by UC Sound.
The game. Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
When Genesis Diamonds has a sale, you know it's the real deal. And it's happening November 18th, 19th, and 20th. Our final store-wide sale of the year with deep discounts up to 35% off. This is the big one. The one where the staff knows they can break all the rules. Plus, Genesis selection is nearly double, with designers flying in their entire collections all on sale. This is the last and best jewelry buying opportunity of the year. Luxury pre-owned Rolex is also included. Save up to 35% and get zero interest financing. Genesis Diamonds. November 18th through 20th only, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Need cash for the holidays or to pay off credit cards right now? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. This is great. You can keep your low mortgage rate and still get cash out. That's right. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low rate. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan will come your way, and it only costs you around $300 a month. Use that money to pay off whatever bills you have. Credit cards, consolidate other debt, or start a home improvement project. With Loan Pronto, you can access up to 95% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need the appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Do it now before the holidays. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
How would you like to come home to a bartender who will fix you any cocktail you want?
I'll have an old-fashioned.
I'll have a margarita.
Now you can with the Bartesian Home Cocktail Maker. Bartesian is a sleek machine the size of a coffee maker that makes premium cocktails at the touch of a button. Choose from over 50 different cocktails, from classics to the most exotic premium cocktails served in the best bars today. You'll always get freshly mixed, perfectly balanced cocktails with the Bartesian Cocktail Maker. And now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever at bartesian.com/enjoy. Entertaining? The Bartesian is ideal for parties. No need to stock all kinds of individual mixers for complicated recipes. Every guest gets the cocktail of their choice in seconds. The Bartesian makes a wonderful gift for anyone who loves a fine premium cocktail. Now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever. It's available right now, only at bartesian.com/enjoy. That's BARTESIAN.com/enjoy for Bartesian's best deal ever. Only at bartesian.com/enjoy.
Hey, it's Eddie George. You know we all have crazy busy lives and don't take time to research car insurance, right? Well, you don't have to. Xander Insurance does all the work for you. Their system shops over 15 top companies to find you the best rates, and they keep shopping every year. Their clients have saved an average of $600. That's why I'm a client. Xander gives me more options. More options means more savings. Get free quotes at XanderInsurance.com or call 800-356-1780.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Chase Elliott scores the win in the Ally 400 at the Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3. Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game 7.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful.
I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman & Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Jared versus Joe in 30 minutes. Joe Rexroad has a family commitment, so we will argue in 30 minutes. But I never get to watch the pregame shows on Sunday because I'm always hosting our pregame show. But obviously with the game on Sunday Night Football, I was able to watch the CBS and the Fox pregame shows. And Jay Glazer dropped this little nugget on the Fox pregame show about one wide receiver that might be available after the trade deadline.
Big update here because Odell Beckham, I've learned, will be ready and cleared by the end of this week. Full clear, no limitations at all. And then after that, it's just up to a team for him to get his conditioning up and obviously get a playbook down. And then you say, okay, well, who's going to be in it for Odell and who is Odell going to want to go with? And that's probably going to be a team that can go and win a ring right now. I know Von Miller's trying to get him up there to Buffalo, team like San Francisco, the Dallas Cowboys, and he still has some love for the Rams. But big update, Odell should be fully cleared by the end of this week.
Wow. If he's cleared at the end of this week, you think somebody signs him quickly or do they wait?
I think there's going to be a big bidding war for Odell.
Okay, so let's think about what Jay Glazer said that Odell wants. And again, this is coming right from Odell, right to Jay Glazer.
Right.
But Odell wants, to be paid. You know, you heard the bidding war right there. Odell wants money, and Odell wants a team where he can win a ring. And Odell even said that on Twitter, that he wants to win a championship. So let's think this through. How many teams out there are there whose playbook he knows, where he would have a role on the team, and you could convince him is a contender? Because you heard Jay Glazer talk about, he still got love for the Rams. The Rams ain't a contender. The Rams stink. So they're out, if that's what Odell cares about. A couple of years ago, J.J. Watt got released, and there was talk about how J.J. really wants a ring, and then he signed with the Arizona Cardinals, and that told us that J.J. really didn't want a ring. But we're just going off of what Jay Glazer said. So Dallas,
fair.
They are contenders.
Buffalo.
But Dallas already has a number one receiver.
Mm-hmm.
They've already got another receiver coming off the ACL in Gallup. So they have receivers in Dallas. CD Lamb is their number one.
Didn't want to pay Amari Cooper.
Yeah, but that might have been more about Cooper than it was about the money. But maybe it was the money.
But if he wants to get paid.
True. Then you brought up Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo already has two receivers.
And also, are they a contender if Josh Allen isn't there?
So I heard the Pro Football Injury Doc say that he thinks Josh Allen's going to need like 4 weeks off. So maybe they won't be the number one seed in the AFC,
but if
they
he's
still
back
probably
to the
will
playoffs,
have Josh Allen.
yeah.
But again, as going back to this, they already have receivers there. Then again, the Rams had receivers last year, and he went to the Rams, and then Robert Woods tore his ACL, and he slid right in there. But what is a team in which he already knows their offense, because he doesn't know Buffalo's offense, he doesn't know Dallas's offense, that you could argue is a contender, that he knows their offense, and that desperately needs wide receiver help? Do you think the Titans will be players for Odell Beckham? Do you think the Titans should be players for Odell Beckham? Do you think the Titans will have interest in Odell Beckham? And do you think Odell Beckham will have interest in the Titans? And on top of that, yes, I know Treylon Burks is coming back, but there is proof of concept with Odell, and Treylon is just hoping and praying. We'll get to Treylon in a second. But Odell Beckham, do you think they should be involved? Do you think they will be involved? What do you make of it?
Do I think they should be involved? Yes. I think we have seen that this team, even with a healthy Treylon Burks, needs wide receiver help desperately. Now, do I think that the Titans will be players for Odell Beckham Jr.? Absolutely not.
Why?
I think it goes against everything the Titans do. They don't like to pay big for players in the middle of the season.
How big do you think we're talking about Odell coming off of an ACL for a month and a half?
It depends on what the market is.
$5 million?
Maybe higher. Like, how much do you think the Rams are going to be willing to give Odell Beckham Jr.?
I don't even, I don't know.
I don't know either. But I feel like Odell is probably going to follow the money.
That is kind of what he did last year.
Yeah, and he did win a ring last year. So I feel like Odell would follow the money. So a bidding war, to Jay Glazer's point, is probably in play here. And the Titans don't seem to me like the kind of team that wants to outbid another team for a player that's coming off of an ACL. And also, do you see Odell Beckham?
Derek.
I mean, am I wrong?
I'm not. your opinion.
Also, Odell Beckham Jr. with this culture, I don't see that working out.
So
Odell
I
Beckham
do.
Jr. with Vrabel, no way I see that working out.
I do. The personality fit is the least of my concerns.
Why?
I think the locker room's strong enough. I think the locker room, like, he's not gonna clap up to Derrick Henry. He's not gonna clap up to Jeffrey Simmons. Those guys are established leaders. They are great players. You can do that to Baker. You can't do that to Derrick Henry.
But Odell is a give me the ball kind of guy.
But Odell wasn't that way with the Rams last year. Odell was cool with being the backup. Then Odell had to get in there. Odell was cool with Van Jefferson getting the ball. Odell was cool with all the balls going to Cooper Kupp. Odell didn't cause any problems. And then Odell showed up in the Super Bowl until he tore his ACL. So I agree with you. I don't think the Titans will be interested in Odell. I think the reason the Titans won't be interested in Odell, and this is the only reason why I'm okay with them not going after Odell. There's no way he's going to be what he was in the Super Bowl.
No.
Off the knee surgery right away. And the Titans need that help right away. Like, they need it now. And so, I mean, if you told me that Odell was the same guy, and I don't know if Robert Woods is struggling because he's coming off the ACL, or Robert Woods is struggling because he gets the most attention and he's really a number 2 wide receiver or whatever. But if you told me that Odell was the guy that he was at the end of the season last year for the Rams right now, I would say you have to do it because you don't have receivers. You owe it to your locker room to stop putting Cody Hollister out there and to put Odell Beckham Jr. out there because your team is good enough, and you, the Titans, you gave away A.J. Brown. So I think that they should do it, except for the fact that I just don't think that physically Odell will be really ready to be Odell again until next year.
I mean, yeah, he's only, 7-8 months removed from the ACL? February 13th.
And it's the
November
11th month. So that's 9 months. So having a baby.
9 months.
And so, but he does know your playbook. I mean, I don't think Odell would want to come here, but I do think that the pitch would be easy because the pitch is, and you would need
no
Robert
receivers
Woods
on this team.
Yeah, you would need Robert Woods to basically be like, dude, you're going to be the number 1 receiver on this team. The second that you sign on this team, you are the number 1 receiver for this team. And you would need Derrick Henry and Simmons and those guys to help pitch him on it. But, I mean, if I was
Can he be
Odell,
the number 1 receiver on this team?
The Odell in the Super Bowl was the number 1 receiver on this team right now.
But is he going to be Odell in the Super Bowl?
I'm just telling you that if he signs, he's the number 1 receiver with this team right now. I mean, combined, they have 658 receiving yards. They didn't have a catch on Sunday. Now, some of that's because of the quarterback, but they didn't have a single catch. Odell Beckham, and I am an anti-Odell guy, but Odell Beckham is better. What he was in that Super Bowl game, what he was at the end of the year for the Rams last year, regardless of whether or not it was Odell on his best behavior, thinking that if he played well, he'd get one last bite at the apple and get paid and then go back to being, what he was, Odell, he would be the number 1 receiver on this team. I mean, Treylon Burks is the number 1 receiver on this team. He hasn't played in 4 weeks. He's got 10 catches in his career, and he's the number 1 receiver. Yes, Odell's better than Cody Hollister. So I don't think Odell would want to come here because the Titans just aren't a sexy enough team. But I think if you really sold him and you said, look, we run the system the Rams run. We have a spot for you. Dallas has CeeDee Lamb. He's their number 1. He's their star. Buffalo has Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis. They don't need you. Kansas City has all their guys. They don't need you. But here, you saw the game on Sunday. You saw that they don't have any receivers. You would be the guy here. And Tannehill is just like Matthew Stafford last year, and Robert Woods will tell you about that. And come on in, Odell. Maybe Odell would want to come here.
But I think money talks with Odell.
But Odell is guaranteed the playoffs if he comes here. And not everywhere else you can say that. Buffalo, yes.
Yeah.
Dallas, probably. Kansas City, yes. But I do think that the Titans, in a normal world, should go after Odell because they shot themselves in the foot by trading away A.J. Brown. But at the same time, I don't think that Odell will be healthy enough to be Odell. And so then it's just going to be Julio Jones all over again, where the guy just really can't play. Even if he does have a good attitude, he just physically can't help you at the expectation level. So maybe no. So I'll give him a pass if they don't go after Odell. But the reasons why they won't go after Odell are not fair. Like, the reasons that they won't go after Odell are the things that should make you mad as a fan. But I agree with you. I don't think they're going to go after Odell.
Kansas City feels like a very probable landing spot for Odell.
But where would he fit in with them? He doesn't run deep.
No.
They already have 2 short guys. Where would he fit?
Would he be their Tyreek Hill?
He doesn't run deep.
Older, slower Tyreek.
He doesn't run deep.
Is he just another body that can catch a ball?
That's all he is. He doesn't run deep. So he wouldn't fit their Tyreek Hill mold. That's why they signed Valdez-Scantling. Because they moved Hardeman into the Hill spot, and then they signed Valdez-Scantling to play the Hardeman spot. And Byron Pringle left, and he was a run deep down the field guy. So that's not what they're looking for. And they don't need a possession receiver. They have the best tight end in the NFL, and they've got Juju Smith-Schuster, who's basically a tight end. So they don't need, Odell to sit in there and clog it up in the middle with those 2 guys. So that's why I just don't see it. But maybe because they'll pay the money. Kansas City will. 615-737-1025. What about Odell? Throw that on there. Plus, Mike Vrabel today was asked about A.J. Brown. I thought it was funny. And Treylon Burks makes his return. And I'm a little depressed about the Treylon Burks return. We'll get to that in your phones. Stillman and Company, 615-737-1025. If you want to weigh in on the receiver situation, that is 615-737-1025 here on Stillman and Company. Be sure to check out the NFL Game of the Week on 94.9 The Fan this Sunday as the Dallas Cowboys take on the Green Bay Packers at 3:25. The NFL Game of the Week is brought to you by Red Spirits and Wine in Bellevue and Superbook Sports. Voted the #1 sportsbook app in Vegas. Download their app today.
185! Every team needs a quarterback. 185! That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown.
Tim. ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
How that team is built, I think there's a lot to like about them.
Every Tuesday at noon, Tim with Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Presented by Red Spirit and Wine in Bellevue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Start NFL Week 10 off right with a no-sweat same-game parlay from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and my official sportsbook app. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or if you already have an account. You'll get free bets back if your Thursday night same-game parlay doesn't hit. NFL same-game parlays are the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout. For instance, we'll see what Marcus Mariota is going to do on Thursday Night Football. Again, Atlanta and Carolina just played. Build yours or choose from one of the popular SGPs pre-built for you and FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. However you want to play it, you can bet the NFL on Thursday night with a no-sweat same-game parlay. Just sign up with the promo code JGM if you don't already have an account. If you already have a FanDuel account, you're all set. Just sign up to see what you've got and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. 21 and older and present in Tennessee, 3+ legs, minimum $1 bet required, refund issues, non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 7 days after receipt, max free bet $5, restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Anticipation is building.
The holidays are just around the corner, and at the Home Depot, we can't wait. With Black Friday savings all through November, you can count down to Christmas early with a Santa Countdown Inflatable Special Buy, only $69.98. Or anticipate when friends and family come to visit with an entrance full of LED lights that will welcome them and the holidays with open arms. Get the holiday magic started early. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
You can't get much for $5 these days. Unless you go to Wendy's for a $5 Biggie Bag. Get your choice of double stack, junior bacon cheeseburger, or crispy chicken BLT. Plus 4-piece nugs, fries, and a drink. All for just $5. That was smooth, wasn't it? That's how you're gonna feel when you get that Biggie Bag at Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Includes 4-piece nuggets, small soft drink, and small fry. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii.
Never miss a moment of the show. What is this? Check it out. Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Whenever it is that the Traylon does come back, what does that skill set that he has, what does it bring to your wide receiver core, to the offense potentially?
Well, it gives you some size, and I thought he was really coming on, and his ability to adjust to the football and his play speed, and I think he always tried to play physical.
There you go, Mike Vrabel. Today, Traylon Burks returned to practice. Will he play Sunday? Who knows? But you heard right there, what does Traylon bring to the football team? Vrabel should have just said talent is something that they don't have at wide receiver right now, and he brings them talent. But I do find it disconcerting that the savior of the receiving core is a rookie with asthma who couldn't get in shape for minicamp and has 10 catches on the season.
He has to be.
He is the savior.
He has to be the savior because
the
they traded
savior.
A.J. Brown for him.
He is the savior. That is a scary thought and a depressing thought at the same time. But those are the standards. And if he plays on Sunday and he doesn't have any catches, then I will be upset about that. Now, another funny one. Vrabel was asked what everybody's talking about. I got to give Paul Kaharski credit because sometimes I think people don't ask Vrabel questions because they think like, well, what's Vrabel going to say? And I'm like, all you can do is ask the question. So obviously the trade for A.J. Brown has been an unmitigated disaster for the Tennessee Titans. So Kaharski asked Vrabel about the A.J. trade. This is what happened.
How do you think John's trade of A.J. has worked out for this team?
I mean, we play the Broncos. A.J.'s on the Eagles, so really the whole focus of my day is on getting this team ready to go for Denver against a defense that plays multiple fronts and against an offense that plays with multiple personnel groups. That's all it is.
But really, what do you think of John's trade of A.J. right now?
I mean, F?
No, not you. Him. Like if Vrabel would say, he's on the Eagles and I'm focused on the Broncos, it's like, But really.
Yeah, but what do you think about it?
What do you think? Do you think that the season has been nuked because you guys traded A.J. Brown? But yes, you are 100% correct, F.
Of course. Yes, of course he feels that way. Want to focus on our players, on our team?
I'm going to focus on our game this week. AJ's on the
Philadelphia.
Eagles. By the way, I think it's 4 weeks from now. He will get asked a lot of AJ questions. That will be a week. In fact, we might as well just tell everybody. I don't know who Tennessee plays that week. I don't know if the college season is over.
What week is that?
I don't know. Okay, hold on. Off the top of my head.
Okay.
Broncos this week.
Packers the following.
Then they're on the road at the Packers.
That's
then they host the Bengals.
SEC championship weekend.
Then they host the Bengals. Then they go to the Eagles.
Yeah.
Then they go to the Jags? I don't know. 615-737-1025. Phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. What do we have?
Rich Texan says Odell to the 49ers would be a nice fit. They were interested in getting him in the past. Just another weapon for that offense.
See, here's the problem with that, though. Don't they have too many weapons? Like, if you're the 49ers, you've got Brandon Ayuk, you've got George Kittle, you've got Deebo Samuel, and Christian McCaffrey. There's one football. Do you really need Odell Beckham?
And does the problem really pass catchers, or is it the person throwing the ball?
It's absolutely the person throwing the ball.
Right, exactly.
So San Francisco traded Jeff Wilson to Miami because they had Christian McCaffrey, and he's a good running back. And so they traded him because, like, no, we're good at running back. So you just get – and now you want to bring in Odell? You take away the ball from Brandon Ayuk? You're going to take away the ball from George Kittle? I wouldn't do that. What's next?
One texter texts in.
Let me say this, though. I think the Titans would be the best fit for Odell. I do not think that Odell's going to come here. I do not think the Titans are going to have interest in Odell.
I think Odell wants something flashy.
Right, like Dallas.
Dallas, Kansas City. Even though the city of itself, Kansas City, isn't very flashy, but like the Chiefs.
But could you outpay that?
Potentially.
Here's the one.
Would the Titans outpay that, though?
Here's what I'd ask the Titans. You created the cap space, which we know is all bullcrap. You created the cap space when Harold Landry got hurt, and you signed Derrick Henry. So you have the space to go do something with that money that you saved that you were probably using when Landry got hurt. But because you got Mario Edwards Jr. playing great, and you've got Tierre Tart and DeMarcus Walker and Kevin Strong and all those defensive linemen that are kind of doing the part of Landry, you didn't have to go out and pay for a Landry. So with that extra $5 million or whatever it is you saved by redoing Derrick Henry's contract, would that be enough to be able to get Odell for this year? Because Odell's probably looking for a 2-year deal. But they're not going to do it.
No.
And so, I mean, I get frustrated when it's like the Titans clearly Sunday proved, this time last week I was complaining about how the Titans didn't make a trade at the trade deadline. And I felt like they needed to look at receiver. They needed to go for a backup quarterback. They needed all these things because I knew they were contenders for the AFC. And I kept saying, I wish it had been the Chiefs game had been before the deadline and not after the deadline. And I think the level of outrage, if the Titans didn't make a move today, if the deadline was today instead of last Tuesday, would be much higher because everybody saw how close they are to the Chiefs, if not better than the Chiefs on Sunday, with how dominant their defense is. And then that gives you hope that if you just add one piece with a pass catcher, then maybe everybody kind of fits in the bus and everybody kind of has a certain amount of targets that make sense. So Robert Woods goes to number 2 and Hooper's in there more. And it's like, okay, that's good when Hooper's the third option and not the first option. But they didn't. And yet here's Odell that's out there. And I'm not the biggest Odell guy, but here's Odell out there. Here's your chance to go make your club better. And we all know inside they're not going to do it. And it's like, why are you not going to do it? You saw how good you are with your defense. We know Josh Allen's hurt. Buffalo might slide in the standings. You may end up being the number 2 seed in the AFC. If you didn't just screw around with no backup quarterback, you would have won Sunday against the Chiefs, and that playoff game would be here in Nashville against a team that doesn't match up well with you. And that's frustrating as a fan to be like, yeah, I know my team's going to go for it, but they're not going to go for it enough.
Unless it's a money issue. And
like
not a cap issue.
Don't have the money?
Yeah.
I mean,
not a cap issue, but a money issue.
Ladarius would call that pocket watching.
We do a good bit of that on this show.
We do, but I don't think the Titans are cheap, even though Derek circles around that.
I don't think the Titans are cheap, but I do wonder if it's hey, like, can we
we've maxed out on the budget.
Yeah, can we really budget another $6, $7, $8 million for Odell Beckham Jr., who may or may not be able to really contribute to this team right now when we need him to contribute to this team right now? I would understand that hesitation.
Joe Rexroad, Jared versus Joe. We will debate all of this. The Titans, Tannehill. We will debate that coming up next. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. 615-737-1025. Fitz normally joins us, presented by Blood Assurance. Give blood, give local, save lives. But Joe's going to join us because he had a scheduling conflict. Again, Jason Fitz, usually brought to you by Blood Assurance. Give blood, give local, and save lives. Tune into the college football game of the week on 102.5, 106.3. The game this Saturday as MTSU takes on Charlotte at 2:30. The college football game of the week is brought to you by Twin Peaks, home of 29-degree drafts and wall-to-wall sports and Superbook Sports. Voted the #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
ESPN Titans NFL Nation reporter Teron Davenport brings knowledge.
3 touchdowns. He was processing, getting rid of the ball quickly.
Passion.
Make no mistake about it. He absolutely has to hit the ground running.
And expertise on the two-tone blue and the NFL. Join TD every Monday at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Friday morning at 8 for all the latest on your favorite team. Teron Davenport is presented by Craneworks on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Attention Attention hockey fans, come see Northeastern and Western Michigan face off at this year's Music City Hockey Classic in a matchup of two of the NCAA's top 20 ranked college teams at Bridgestone Arena Friday, November 25th, 6:30 p.m. Get your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com. Let the puck drop and the excitement begin. Northeastern Huskies versus the Western Michigan Broncos in Nashville, November 25th.
Ajax Turner Company, Middle Tennessee's Anheuser-Busch distributor, is hiring full-time warehouse order pickers, forklift drivers, merchandisers, delivery, and more. Pay rates have increased, and new hires will now be eligible for a $500 sign-on bonus. This is more than seasonal work. This is a career with year-round stability and promotional opportunities. Go to ajaxturner.com/careers to apply or call 615-280-3904 for further details about open positions. Please remember to drink responsibly.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah! The big dog's got it.
Craneworks is ready to help lift Nashville. As the Southeast's most trusted name in crane and equipment rental for over 30 years, Craneworks offers certified operators to make sure the job is done right. Rentalworks is a diverse fleet of equipment to assist in any project, big or small. From forklifts to carry deck cranes, they have it all. When it's time for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project, call Craneworks. Visit craneworks.com.
Harman Energy is now hiring drivers for their Nashville team. Harman Energy is Tennessee's petroleum solution for major industries. Right now, they're offering competitive compensation. Fuel tank wagon drivers start at $26 an hour. Fuel transport drivers, $29 an hour. Plus, there's a $4,000 sign-on bonus for CDL drivers. Top quality benefits and a great place to work, Harman Energy employees provide totally outrageous customer service. Come be an employee owner with the Harman team. Apply now at harmanenergy.com.
OrderGreen.com. You know them by now. They're my only choice for high-quality THC and CBD products, and they're delivered right to my doorstep. Hey, folks, Joe Rexrode here. Yes, you heard that right. OrderGreen.com will send cannabis products right to you with discreet same-day shipping. OrderGreen.com has been great for me. Just what I need during this busy time of year. Takes the edge off physically, mentally. Terrific products. And if you use promo code Joe20, you're going to get 20% off your first purchase at OrderGreen.com. Do you have a subscription to OrderGreen.com? It'd be a lot cooler if you did. You won't be able to tell if you're in Colorado or Tennessee. Trust me. That's OrderGreen.com.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow.
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
Are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game. Live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Mookie Betts. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Jared Stillman versus Joe Rexrode. Now on Stillman and Company.
On ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Joe Rexrode is with us for an early edition of Jared versus Joe. Joe, how are you? Are you surviving the fact that your Volunteers are no longer in the top four? I hope you're okay. I know it's been a tough couple of days for you.
Oh, man. Well, thanks for the sympathy. Yeah, I've shed a few tears, but I think I can forge ahead.
There you go, Volunteers. Zinger.
Caroline, lead us off.
Did we get our fun music?
Yeah, it already came.
Oh, I wasn't even paying attention. First question. Jared, you go first. If Ryan Tannehill doesn't go or can't go on Sunday, then what?
Oh, no. Then I think it's a dogfight with the Broncos. The Broncos have the number 2 defense in the NFL, both in scoring and in total defense. The Titans already can't throw the ball, but they've got Patrick Surtain and Simmons. And, I mean, the Broncos' defense is pretty good. That's why Russell Wilson's mistakes have been so egregious to everybody, because all the games are in primetime and they're close because they got a good defense. Malik Willis, the offense isn't good. The offensive line is bad. The receivers are bad. The tight ends are coming along. I kind of like that. But Malik Willis, quite frankly, he's not ready to play. So even though I think they're going to beat the Broncos, because I think Russell Wilson is cheeks, if Malik Willis has to play, I think it should be a pick 'em. And I might pick the Broncos because I think that they are that handcuffed with that guy at quarterback. So I will say that the line right now is Titans -3. If Malik plays, I think it's an even pick 'em, and I might pick the Broncos. So that's how bad it is. And I think the Broncos stink. Joe.
Well, you mentioned my Volunteers. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, if Tannehill's not playing, I'd rather be at the Tennessee-Colorado basketball game. That for some reason is on at the same time as this game. I don't understand that. But I'll cover this Titans 9-6 victory, I guess, instead. I mean, it's just brutal. But that's about what it'll be. Just an ugly, awful, close game that the Titans will win.
How will they get to 9 against the Broncos?
How will they get to 9 against the Broncos?
Yeah.
The Broncos are now the 85 Bears. I mean,
they're the number 2 defense in the league. They got to 17. They got to 17 last week against the number 26 defense with this quarterback.
You know,
this ain't the Texans they're playing on Sunday, Joe.
You know, Jared, now that you got hashtag Jared's Film Room up and operating, can you stop using total yardage stats as like your complete North Star of evaluating teams? Seriously.
Okay, the Broncos are second in points allowed. Is that good enough?
That's a better stat. You're getting better. You're getting better. Look, you don't think the Titans can run it at all? You don't think they can complete a pass? They can't get 9. Could they get points off their defense? I mean, they're going to get a couple scores, Jared. In fact, if you'd like to make a bet right now, I'll make the over-under 9.5. I'll go to 9.5. You can bet whatever you want. I bet you the Titans get the over. Apparently, you're taking the under on 9.5. Let's do it.
If Malik plays, this is the same as Friday. When I told you all on Friday, I thought the Titans were going to win against the Chiefs if Tannehill plays. If Malik plays, I think the Chiefs are going to win. And I was right. Now, if Malik plays, I will take under 9.5. And I will bet something. We'll have to come up with what that is. But I will take under 9.5 if Malik Willis plays.
Caroline, you can come up with the stakes.
Here you go.
Oh, I will.
Here you go.
They're going to be juicy.
Who would you rather have quarterback, Geno Smith or Malik Willis?
What?
I mean, we all know the answer.
Geno.
17 for Geno. So a legitimate, right now, we said this the other day, Geno's going to the Pro Bowl if the Pro Bowl was today. 17 for Geno Smith. 9 for Davis Mills and the Texans. 10 for Jimmy Garoppolo and the Niners. Somehow 32 in a loss to the Raiders. I don't know how the Raiders scored 32 points, but I don't know how the Raiders are as bad as they are. I mean, I don't understand that. 12 for Matt Ryan and the Colts. 19 for Justin Herbert and the Chargers. 16 for the Jets. 17 last week for the Jags in London. So I truly believe that Malik Willis, like the difference between Geno Smith and Malik Willis is probably more than a touchdown. I think they'll score less than 9 with Malik at quarterback. I'll take that bet.
I mean, so you got total yardage and now transitive football. All my favorites, Jared. All my favorites.
I'm taking your bet, Joe. What's next, Caroline?
Joe, you go first. Is a healthy Treylon Burks what the Titans offense has been missing, or is it more?
Okay, I want to make sure I heard that right. Is Treylon Burks what the Titans have been missing, or are they missing more than that?
Is Treylon Burks healthy, getting back in this offense, what the Titans needed to kind of get the offense moving, or is it beyond just Treylon Burks?
Well, I mean, it's A.J. Brown, but that's not happening. So, I mean, it's A.J. Brown. It's a left tackle. It's another good receiver. It's a lot. But I will say that they badly do need Traylon Burks, and they need him to not just pick up where he left off. They need him to somehow, skip a couple steps from where he left off and be their number one receiver. They just don't have anything close to a number one receiver. I don't know how close he is to one or will be to one this year, but whatever they can do to lean in on any play he can make, they need to do because they are in a dire circumstance.
Okay, so I think that's a really good question. I agree with Joe's initial assessment that it's not Traylon Burks they need, it's A.J. Brown. They need A.J. Brown.
Well,
but
they're not getting him back.
It's more than that. It's not just like Joe wants to pick on Dennis Daly. Joe's been picking on Dennis Daly all year. Dennis Daly is good for about 1 to 2, free cracks at the quarterback, which is not good. But it's not like Lawan was perfect over there at left tackle. In fact, I think Daly is closer to Lawan, which says more about Lawan's level of play last year than people want to admit. The problem on the offensive line is Brewer. Brewer's awful. Brewer is too small. Brewer misses too many blocks. Too often they have a running play for Derrick Henry. He gets tackled in the backfield. I watch the tape. It's Brewer who misses his man or runs to the wrong guy or falls down. I mean, Brewer is a much bigger problem, in my opinion, than Dennis Daly is. That's the first thing. The second thing is the Titans have got to stop with all this personnel grouping in and out that they keep doing, where it's like, okay, let's put Cody Hollister in the game here. Let's put Jeff Swaim in the game here. Let's put Kevin Rader in the game here. Let's put all these guys in the game on 1st and 10 to run the ball. Hate to break it to you, but Austin Hooper is probably the best pass catcher they have right now, and he never plays. And it's like, well, he's not as good of a blocker as Kevin Rader. Well, no, duh. But when you put Kevin Rader in the game, you're telling them you're running the ball. And they do that all the time. So even if they had a better receiver, which Traylon Burks will be, it doesn't fix, the personnel grouping issues. It doesn't fix the play calling that has been a problem this year, though it wasn't much of a problem on Sunday night. It doesn't fix the fact that, this backup quarterback is terrible and that the starting quarterback with his lack of mobility might be a little bit of an issue. And it doesn't fix the fact that they've got a 270-pound left guard trying to go up against Chris Jones or Grover Stewart or DeForest Buckner or Jonathan Hankins or all these big old fatties that are up there at 330 pounds. And the Titans just all offseason just thought, we'll just put our 280-pound backup in there and put him up against DeForest Buckner. And that's an unmitigated disaster for this football team. So it's not just the receiver, it's a lot of things.
Well, I tell you what, if this was being credit by the word, this would be an onslaught already.
See, Joe doesn't have anything back to say because he didn't watch the tape, so he doesn't know.
Oh, yes!
We'll let you into the Jared's film room sometime, Joe.
Oh my gosh! Is it like one of those things where it's like
you are now entering Jared's film room.
Apparently, it was so impactful that Derek Mason spent an hour of the midday show today discussing his opinions of watching the film after I watched the film on Jared's film room.
Oh my God! This is seriously. It's like Studio 54 in the '70s. We're all going to put on our leisure suits and try to get into hashtag Jared's film room. I love it.
I do want to throw one other thing that I feel like the Titans need on offense.
Okay.
A tougher quarterback.
Oh boy.
Oh my God!
He should have played.
You're so stupid.
He should have played.
Don't take this conversation and flush it down the toilet, Jared. Please don't do that.
Don't take this conversation and flush
He
it
should
down
have
the
played.
toilet. So by saying that Ryan Tannehill should have played, you think that is flushing this conversation down the toilet instead of really hitting one of the big issues that needs to be discussed, which is Ryan Tannehill was cleared by the medical staff to play on Sunday, and he didn't play on Sunday. Chris Sanders was disappointed in Tannehill for not playing. Said that Simmons showed that he's tougher. You asked a great question today. He said no setbacks since the Colts game. He said that that surgery was not an option, which meant it's not a high ankle sprain. It's a low ankle sprain. The only issue there is pain tolerance, and he couldn't play on Sunday night against the Chiefs in a game that may determine home field in an AFC playoff game. Steve McNair would have played, Joe.
I mean, seriously, it must be that he's soft. It must be that he's soft. And I've heard some of your investigative. It's like you're like Daphne on Scooby-Doo with some of your detective work on who told who what, and it's ridiculous.
Why can't I be Velma?
It's ridiculous. Fine. Actually,
or Fred.
I don't know, Fred. I think that ribbon would look good on you.
Daphne's dress would suit you very nicely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you look great in purple.
I you know what? I wouldn't mind dating Daphne.
Okay.
But
I'll let her know. You could be Shaggy if you want to be.
No.
Okay.
Fred dates Daphne, right?
Fred supposedly dates Daphne.
I thought they were married, and then I found out they were in high school. More Jared versus Joe coming up. 615-737-1025. Right here, Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 2:45.
Sanders for the touchdown, 48 yards.
Former NFL wide receiver Chris Sanders joins Stillman and Company to give his thoughts on all things Titans and NFL. Fueled by Parman Energy, now hiring fuel drivers. Apply now at ParmanEnergy.com on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
We'll see low temperatures tonight in the upper 40s. Tomorrow, more clouds begin to move into the area. High temperatures still reach to the lower 70s. Rain moves in tomorrow night into Friday, and then we're much colder by the weekend. For Fox 17, I'm meteorologist Brett Luna.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face truck today.
Don't miss out on Black Friday deals at Electronic Express. Come into our convenient locations for great deals on all of your favorite brands like Samsung, Whirlpool, LG, Polk Audio, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department: computers, appliances, 4K TVs, housewares, furniture, mattresses, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com and get free express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Genesis Diamond's biggest and last sale of the year is coming. November 18th, 19th, and 20th. It's an extraordinary event. With savings of 20, 25, up to 35% store-wide. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets. Nothing's held back for this once-a-year, 3-day store-wide sale. Acclaimed designers will be flying in with expanded collections and special pricing. Plus, get 0% interest financing. Luxury pre-owned Rolexes are also included. It's the final store-wide sale of the year with discounts up to 35%. Genesis Diamond. November 18th through 20th only. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Hutton. Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Replace your old unit fast before new regulations increase prices up to 20%. Get a new unit today at today's price and receive up to $1,500 off, or get 18 months of no payments, so the first payment is not until spring of 2024. At Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, all new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. Schedule your appointment now at springhillac.com. That's springhillac.com.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormonal deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve your quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
Titans fans, the after-game party is at the all-new Superbook Lounge at Landshark Bar and Grill, Margaritaville. The Superbook Lounge is a sports viewing mecca with the largest screens on Broadway. Plus, 102.5 The Game's NFL postgame show will be broadcasting live, featuring Jonathan Hutton and Chad Withrow from Outkick 360. Party after the game at the Superbook Lounge and enjoy the ultimate in sports viewing while you take in the postgame show. Brought to you by Superbook Sports, Two Rivers Ford, and Renters Warehouse.
Rock and country music's hardest hitters join forces. Five Finger Death Punch. Brantley Gilbert. With special guest Corey Marks. November 16th, Bridgestone Arena.
I'm a son of the dirty South.
On sale now at livenation.com. Five Finger Death Punch's new album, Afterlife, out now. Presented by 102.9 The Buzz.
Robbie Stanley.
It really doesn't matter until the pads come on and you have to hit each other, you have to block.
Joe Rexrode.
Reliable, go out and make some plays for you. Solid player.
Get your morning started with Robbie and Rexrode every weekday from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. Jared Stillman versus Joe Rexrode. Now on Stillman and Company.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game.
More Jared versus Joe. Caroline, let it rip.
After this past week, C.J. Stroud is now the Heisman frontrunner, even though he threw for 76 yards against Northwestern. Should Hendon Hooker still be the Heisman frontrunner? Joe, you go first.
First of all, everybody Joe works with is stupid. I just want to throw that out there. And I mean at The Athletic, not here at the radio station.
Yeah, that's what to say. What the heck, man?
Go ahead, Joe.
I will say I am very disappointed in the people I work with for not recognizing how great Bryce Young has been. It's not his fault. His defense has betrayed him twice. But, no, Hendon Hooker absolutely should not be the front-runner for the Heisman at this point. I think that he lost his opportunity to win the Heisman Saturday, and that may be a little harsh. Some people may disagree with me. But, look, those moments, those games, you perform as he did against Alabama, and you become the Heisman front-runner, which he absolutely should have been after that, and he should have been most of the season. But when you perform as poorly as he did, and of course it's not all on him, but that's how it goes at quarterback. Quarterbacks get more credit, they get more blame, probably too much of both. I don't believe he played well. You can't miss those shots when you have them. Georgia gave him 2 touchdowns. You have to take them when they give them to you. Everything else that day was tough sledding. So, no, he absolutely shouldn't be the Heisman frontrunner. It's tough to identify one. I mean, honestly, I think you could make the case that Bryce Young could be that, and yet he's nowhere on anybody's radar. It's a really weird year for the Heisman, but definitely not Hendon Hooker.
So I don't think it should be Hendon Hooker. I think it should be Drake May at North Carolina.
Ballin'.
Like if I had to pick one, I would. I'm just kidding. I just did that to anger Joe. But
I thought Joe loves Drake May.
Drake May?
He is ballin'.
All I know about Drake May, I don't know a single thing about him other than he plays quarterback at North Carolina.
North Carolina.
And that the morning show was like screaming about him the other day. I figured Joe was a part of that. Maybe it was just Robbie. But I saw Dane Brugler.
I brought him up, and Robbie got mad about it.
Yeah, I saw Dane Brugler, who also works with Joe, so take that with a huge grain of salt after what we saw from The Athletic and their Heisman straw poll. I saw him say that he would take Drake May if he were eligible to be drafted this year. He would take him over all of the quarterbacks in this class. I think it's this way. I mean, C.J. Stroud hadn't done anything yet. He hasn't had any moments yet. He hasn't done anything. Like, oh, congratulations, you came back against Penn State. Woo! He just hasn't done it yet. So for me, I would say right now, 3-way tie between Hendon Hooker, Bryce Young, and Stetson Bennett. And I think they're all going to have their opportunities, right? Especially Bennett. Young, I think, is already done. He'd have to put up some pretty crazy stats because his team has lost these games. But I think right now, if you had to say who has had, like, the most amazing season so far, I would say Bryce Young. Like, amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, just the things he does.
Stetson Bennett also has 11 touchdowns.
I don't care.
You don't care about that?
No, I don't. And I'll tell you why. Because Stetson Bennett, every big game that they've played, and they're going to get another one against LSU in the SEC championship game, which is where Bryce Young sealed up his Heisman last year, was against Georgia in the SEC championship game. Every SEC team is making Stetson Bennett beat them, like every big game that they played. So Oregon was like, okay, we're going to stop the run. Let's make sure this game manager doesn't go out there and go bananas. And he did, and as soon as the game was blown open, Stetson they called off the dogs. Look at the second half passing numbers for Georgia. They called off the dogs once they got their lead, but they got their lead because of Stetson. If Stetson is the quarterback and he dominates LSU for a half like he did Tennessee and Oregon, I think he's got a case considering that he is the leader of the number 2 offense in the country, the leader of the best team in the country, and that he plays the best in the biggest games of the season. So I think Stetson should be there, and I think Hendon Hooker's numbers will be unbelievable so that if Stetson doesn't do it like he did against Tennessee and Oregon in the SEC championship game, and Bryce Young doesn't have another Heisman-esque moment, then Hooker's stats might be enough to put him over the top. But for me right now, I think it's a 3-way tie, Hooker, Bennett, and Bryce Young, and I wouldn't have a problem if any of the 3 won it.
Hooker is not tied for the lead right now after that performance. And I hear you on Stetson Bennett. I mean, I think he should be in New York, but this is not supposed to be just like, best player on best team. It's supposed to be the best player. And Bryce Young is a better player than Stetson Bennett. So
if this were the NFL's MVP award, would Stetson Bennett right now be the favorite for the MVP?
Well, that's much more of a best player on best team award. So he would have a better case. To me, that works more for that award than it would for the Heisman, which again could go. I mean, maybe Corum from Michigan, Caleb Williams from USC. I mean, I think that Kenny Pickett really didn't start really making a run till around this time last year. Aiden Hutchinson got to New York on really one performance against Ohio State November 26th. So I think something
PT.
weird could happen.
I'll say this about Stetson Bennett. Like, again, I think Stetson Bennett is like the Jalen Hurts of college football this year. Like, Jalen Hurts right now is, a lot of people's pick for MVP because the Eagles are 8-0. But if you're asking me, like, who's more valuable to their team, Stetson or Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen, Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. But Joe is kind of right. It feels like the Heisman's different than the MVP award, but I don't want to rule Stetson out. I don't think it should be overlooked how great Stetson Bennett has played this year. And Stetson could have, if they wanted Stetson to have the stats, he could have the stats with the teams they played. If they wanted to go bananas on Kent State, and if they wanted to go banana, like they could have run the score. They
played very conservatively.
They could have run the score up on Tennessee if they wanted to.
Yeah. On to the next.
I'd
like to clear something up. So, Joe, you go first, since Jared called me a conspiracy theorist. Joe.
You and Joey Galloway, by the way.
Joey Galloway, a classic person who knows nothing about college football and doesn't know what he's talking about. Interesting.
I do not think Joey Galloway thinks he knows what he's talking about. Former roommates with Chris Sanders, by the way.
Joe, is there an argument for LSU to get in the playoff?
Oh yeah, no, there's an argument if they win out and beat Georgia and they're the SEC champion and they have the best win in college football, which would be the win over Georgia. Absolutely, there's an argument.
Is there an argument? Is there a good argument for that?
Yes.
Yes, there's a good argument for that. Look, I said we had this argument today. Robbie and I on our show, and Robbie was very dismissive and just like, no way.
Well, Robbie was dismissive because if LSU gets in, that means Tennessee doesn't.
Right. I mean, it was right. But I'm saying, yes, there is a good argument. Look, if I'm the committee member presented with that information, with LSU with 2 losses, having lost by 27, I'm going to go through everything I can go through. And at this point, I think I would vote for Tennessee, but I think it's a good argument.
Wait a minute. So you would vote for Tennessee if you were on the committee? Which, by the way, if they put Bad Take Joe on the committee, we got problems. But so you would vote for Tennessee, but you still think LSU has a good argument?
Yes. The question was, is there a good case for LSU? Some people are like, oh, there's no case. Forget about it. 2 loss. Tennessee blew them out. I disagree. There is a good case for LSU.
But you wouldn't take them.
Forced to choose. I'm going to choose Tennessee on the strength of that win.
So if you were a judge,
2 losses.
If you were a judge and LSU made their case to you in court, you would say that's a good case that you made, lawyer, but I'm ruling against you.
Yes, so I just answered Caroline's question.
So you would rule against the case. It means it's not a good case.
No, that's not true because it's not yes or no or guilty or not guilty.
Heather Dinich.
Is there an argument?
Heather Dinich this morning was asked by Mike Greenberg what her takeaway from the committee was. And if there's one thing the committee has told us over the years, it is that they do not let in 2-loss teams no matter what. This was Heather Dinich this morning on ESPN. Do we have that?
Heather, as we watched everything that the committee told us last night, what was the most important thing to you?
Tennessee can still finish as a top 4 team. The selection committee loves their wins against LSU and Alabama. They're number 2 this week in strength of record. And somebody above them is going to lose because Ohio State and Michigan still have to play each other. You know what's interesting? The SEC or the selection committee's only left out one-loss SEC team ever from the college football playoff. Texas A&M in 2020 was number 5. So It's certainly possible that a one-loss team that doesn't win their division can finish in the top 4. Ohio State did it in 2016. Alabama did it in 2017.
No two-loss team has ever gotten in there.
Do you want to know what Heather Dinich also
Jared.
said on the show last night?
No.
If LSU
I
runs
know
the
what you're
table
gonna say.
and they win the SEC, I think the committee makes them the first two-loss team to make it into the college football playoff. If they were to beat Georgia and Alabama, I don't think there's any doubt. So don't play this Heather Dinich game with
I'm
me,
just saying
Jared.
what she said this morning.
And I'm saying what she said yesterday.
So which one's right?
And well, here's another thing. You want to talk about they've never done the two-loss team. They've also never not taken the SEC champion. I mean, come on. And Heather Dinich, I thought, was actually making the case for LSU last night on the show.
I'll tell you,
Hey,
they're not
way to
taking
get
LSU.
Heather to speak for you, Jared. Good try.
You also thought LSU was a bad team when we were picking our LSU-Alabama game.
I'm still not. I'm more upset with Alabama than I am.
Of course you are.
I mean,
And look, I don't think that LSU is going to beat Georgia. And I'm with Joe that if it comes down to an SEC champion LSU or a non-SEC champion one-loss Tennessee team, I would probably lean Tennessee. But to say there's no argument is not fair.
I didn't say there's not an argument. I
Yes,
said there's
you did.
Not, no, I said there's not a good argument.
That is a good argument.
I think it's not.
Okay.
We have one more very quick one. It's a weekly update on Jared versus Joe.
After last night's performance, Joe, grade for John Hines.
Is it still a C?
I already said that this season I'm with the F. F this season. You want his overall grade?
Sure.
If I said it was a C going into this year, we're talking how many games? 13 games? Is that right? 13 games. Okay, so let's go C minus.
Oh. Did you say D last week?
Harsh.
There you go. Who wins?
Joe wins.
Of course he does. The LSU conspiracy theory take. That was all it needed. Joe, enjoy your family
Congratulations,
commitment.
Joe.
We will talk tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
And tell Caroline break a leg
All right.
for us.
Thanks. See ya.
Joe Rexroad using his kids to get out of the Jared versus Joe 5 o'clock slot, moving it to the 4:30.
At least he moved it.
I don't know if he does have.
He doesn't
something to
have
go
elite
to.
toughness.
Speaking of that, it's one thing when I say something. It is another thing when Chris Sanders says something. But coming up next on the program, I do want to get into an update on where we are, not only with where Ryan Tannehill is right now for the possibility of him playing against Denver on Sunday, but also how did we get here with Ryan Tannehill? What is actually going? I think we have cracked the case. That's next. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You love the game.
The doors on the board. Strike three. Sounds win.
We live the game.
Going up against that defense, he can make some plays and take that next step.
We are.
We got pass rushers.
Checkered flag in the air.
Awesome game 7.
What a stop made by Houston Sarah.
The Game. Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Half of me wants to cool.
Hey Nashville, Thomas Rhett here. My home team tour 23 is on sale Friday, November the 11th.
Thomas Rhett, Home Team Tour 23, with special guests Cole Swindell and Nate Smith. Friday, September 29th, Bridgestone Arena. Pre-sale for City Card members now through Thursday at 10 p.m. before the general public on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at LiveNation.com.
Get your tickets at LiveNation.com and come party with us.
Need cash for the holidays or to pay off credit cards right now? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. This is great. You can keep your low mortgage rate and still get cash out. That's right. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low rate. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan will come your way, and it only costs you around $300 a month. Use that money to pay off whatever bills you have, credit cards, consolidate other debt, or start a home improvement project. With Loan Pronto, you can access up to 95% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need the appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Do it now before the holidays. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
College football season is here finally. It's me, Caroline Fenton, and you already know that I am pumped up for college football season. And Southeastern Carolines, you know that 312 Pizza Company is my favorite place in town. 312 Pizza Company is a family-owned restaurant located in the heart of Germantown, serving up authentic Chicago-style eats right here in Music City. You can catch every down of the college football season at 312 Pizza Company from week 1 of the national championship. 312 Pizza Company is your home for college football season.
How would you like to come home to a bartender who will fix you any cocktail you want?
I'll have an old-fashioned.
I'll have a margarita.
Now you can with the Bartesian Home Cocktail Maker. Bartesian is a sleek machine the size of a coffee maker that makes premium cocktails at the touch of a button. Choose from over 50 different cocktails, from classics to the most exotic premium cocktails served in the best bars today. You'll always get freshly mixed, perfectly balanced cocktails with the Bartesian Cocktail Maker. And now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever at bartesian.com/enjoy. Entertaining? The Bartesian is ideal for parties. No need to stock all kinds of individual mixers for complicated recipes. Every guest gets the cocktail of their choice in seconds. The Bartesian makes a wonderful gift for anyone who loves a fine premium cocktail. Now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever. It's available right now, only at bartesian.com/enjoy. That's BARTESIAN.com/enjoy for Bartesian's best deal ever, only at bartesian.com/enjoy.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game, checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the losses of Amanda J. Gentry. Live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Ryan Tannehill was a limited participant today at Titans practice. There is video of him taking the snap and him throwing the ball. He's got tape on his right ankle. Jim Wyatt and all the guys that cover practice have the videos out there on Twitter. You can see them in a red non-contact jersey like all the other quarterbacks wear. Tannehill was on the field. Now, let's piece back why Ryan Tannehill didn't play on Sunday against the Chiefs. There's a lot of discussion. What kind of ankle injury does Ryan Tannehill have? He said before the Texan game that it was an ankle injury, and he would not specify whether it was a high ankle or a low ankle. Let's stop there.
Okay.
He suffers the injury against the Indianapolis Colts, misses 15 minutes of real time, comes back with a tape on his ankle, plays in the rest of the Colts game, although he was very immobile for the rest of the game with which he played. Now, that doesn't rule out a high ankle sprain, that he didn't have to be carried off the field or carted off the field, or what we often see with high ankle sprains. And it doesn't rule out a fractured fibula, because he could play through the adrenaline with the fractured fibula, have it x-rayed the next day, see that it's fractured. But Ryan Tannehill today was asked about whether or not surgery was an option for his ankle, which would indicate a high ankle sprain if he had the tightrope surgery like Cedric Tillman had, or like the Patriots wanted Mac Jones to get, or if he had a plate or screws put into a fractured fibula. Ryan Tannehill today said no on surgery.
Was surgery ever on the table for you?
No.
Okay, so we know that. So he suffers the injury against the Colts. He doesn't get carted off. He walks off the field. He comes back into the game. He finishes the game. He's questionable for the Texans game. He's questionable and practiced twice getting ready for the Chiefs game. Joe Rexrode today asked Ryan Tannehill if he had any setbacks going into, after the injury against the Colts. Here's what Ryan Tannehill said about that.
Do you have any setbacks, Ryan, from that game when you were injured in Sunday, Kansas City?
No.
Okay. So, no surgery, no setbacks.
Correct.
No cart, no immediate 4 to 6 weeks, no IR, and He was on the field, traveled with the team, was listed as questionable. You cannot lie on these injury reports, though I'm sure they do. You're not supposed to lie on the injury report. Traveled with the team to Kansas City. Now, Tannehill talked about last week, he probably knew he wasn't going to play Sunday against Kansas City. This is what Ryan Tannehill said about that today.
Did you have a pretty good sense all along that you probably weren't going to be able to?
Yeah, I mean, the week was tough, just heading into it. Didn't really know how things were going to turn out, but, had tried it several times throughout the week to know it was going to take, a big step forward on Sunday.
So we know that he was cleared by the medical staff because they were letting him try it during the week, and they were going to let him try it before the game. So all indications are it was a low ankle sprain.
Yes.
What do we know about low ankle sprains?
It's a pain tolerance.
Not a real serious case of re-injury. Really, it is, can you make it through the game? Now, every time that I bring this up, now that I feel like we have officially, Mulder and Scullied our way to figuring out what is wrong with Ryan Tannehill, and we know it's a low ankle sprain, not a high ankle sprain. Jeffrey Simmons had a low ankle sprain. If we can't criticize Ryan Tannehill for not playing Sunday night in such a big game against the Chiefs, in a game in which we know, I know, you know, Tannehill knows, Vrabel knows, Skip Bayless knows that if he had played, they would have beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City knows that if Tannehill had played, they would have won that game. And the Titans would be staring at the 2 seed in the AFC this season. If we can't criticize Tannehill for not being able to tough it out, then are we ever allowed ever to criticize a player for not playing through an injury? Because there are some guys when they get injured and we say, you know what? That guy made a business decision. He could have played. And you know the times that we felt this way.
Yeah.
And we know the other times where it's like, man, I felt so bad for Joe Theismann when Lawrence Taylor sacked him and his leg bone popped out on national
Joe
TV.
Theismann was a much different situation than Ryan Tannehill's low ankle sprain.
But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, Joe Theismann had a compound fracture.
Nobody is criticizing Joe Theismann because they saw the bone on TV. Now,
I don't think that elicits any sort of criticism.
Right, that's my point.
Yes.
But if we can't criticize Tannehill for not playing, then can we ever criticize somebody for not playing? Then what is the level of threshold that we have to have for not playing? Because, again, it's obvious he was cleared by the medical staff. It's obvious that it's a low ankle sprain, not a high ankle sprain. Do I think it hurt? Hell yeah, I think it hurt. Do I think it would have hurt to push down? Yeah. And I do want to give a little bit of credit here while we're, kind of throwing Tannehill under the bus here to say that if Tannehill didn't think that his ankle was good enough that it would have hurt the team for him to be out there. Now, I don't know how bad it must have been. I mean, he could have played in a wheelchair, and it wouldn't have hurt the team compared to what they got out of quarterback. But if he thought that ankle would hurt the team, then maybe it's a noble cause. The story of LaDainian Tomlinson, who he sprained his MCL. Phillip Rivers tore his ACL. Phillip Rivers played in the AFC Championship game. LaDainian Tomlinson had to come out because he said, hey, Michael Turner is going to help us more than I'm going to help us.
Right.
And LaDainian Tomlinson got criticized for that. And, Phillip Rivers is saying, what we're asking the running back to do and what we're asking
way
me
different
to do
than what I'm doing as quarterback.
Not the same thing here. But I'm just saying, if we can't criticize Tannehill for this, when can we?
I think we can when we have information, which is probably never going to happen. When
Not
we have
with this
information from the
organization.
Titans, that'll be when pigs fly. But that's why I have a hard time to really criticize Ryan Tannehill, because we don't really know the severity of the ankle. Yeah, you can say all day long, no surgery, no setbacks, but I don't know that for certain. What kind of benefit does Ryan Tannehill get in saying, oh, yeah, no, surgery was on the table, or, yeah, oh, yeah, I've been suffering a bunch of setbacks in practice? What benefit does that bring Ryan Tannehill?
You wouldn't be hearing us talk about whether or not he's too soft to play Sunday night.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that guy gets to the podium. He knows, that he's got to be a team-first guy, but he knows, sometimes he's got to say things that if you want to say them, this is your opportunity. Speak now or forever hold your peace. And I'll say this about the opaqueness of how the Titans operate.
Okay.
If you don't want to tell anybody anything about anything, that's fine. But just know that people are then going to jump to conclusions, and I don't think it's unfair to do that.
No, because if you're not going to get any information, Like the Traylon Burks thing. We talked about asthma and allergies and being overweight and being out of shape for so many weeks because they just didn't say anything about what was going on with Traylon Burks.
And Rob Moore, remember, he took the bullet for Burks.
Yeah.
Because he said, kid's got asthma.
And it's like, okay, was that hard?
But Vrabel went to Rob Moore and was like,
hey,
what are you doing?
Why'd you do that?
And Rob Moore's like, oh, I'm sorry, coach. And you know that Rob Moore then was telling Burks, hey, man, I got your back.
It was protecting Traylon Burks, so the conspiracy theories didn't have to keep going down the hill.
And that's the point with Tannehill, is when he got up there, if he had said, yeah, we really considered, we considered different options and we decided, not to have surgery. If he said that, then we wouldn't be sitting there saying, man, could he have played 2 weeks after suffering the injury? But we're not just using his words. His words are a part of it. His testimony.
But it's also the actions and the reaction of the team of, go out there, test your ankle, see how it feels in warm-ups. And that's an indication to me from the team that you can go. You're
medically cleared to play.
You are medically cleared to play, but that's on you, brother.
So I think criticizing Tannehill for not playing is fair. I think it is fair. And all I'll say about my criticism is I am not saying that Ryan Tannehill is a wuss by saying that, because I've seen Tannehill take some shots over the years. But Tannehill has never had, until this, we have never had, Ian, unless I'm wrong about this, we've never had like a Tannehill watch, is he going to play? Which was basically like a once every 3 weeks with Mariota thing that we had around here. We never had that with Tannehill.
Well, then does Tannehill deserve the benefit of the doubt?
No, because he's never tough. Because
he's never done this. But we don't know that. We don't know that he's never tough through something.
He's never tough through something that forced him to miss practice. He has never, in the 3 years, I guess this is his fourth, in the 4 years he's been the quarterback, he has never pushed through something that required him to miss practice. So he's never missed a snap of a game in which, he went down, landed funny, then the trainers came out, and Logan Woodside had to go in, hand off to Derrick Henry, and then Tannehill came back out. He's never missed a snap. He's never had anything happen. So what do I know? I don't know what he's playing through over the last 4 years. If anything, this is the one criticism that I'll have of Tannehill from this, the Texan game, whatever, the Chiefs game, is I thought Tannehill was one of those guys. Remember when he talked about after the first injury when he was like, I'll do whatever it takes to be able to play on Sunday? Mm-hmm. And I said, he's going to play because those guys play. Because Phillip Rivers and Brett Favre and Eli Manning and those guys play. Tim Hasselbeck said that he was the backup to Eli Manning, who played through the season for 6 or 8 weeks with a broken foot. And it was just like, yeah, I mean, I play. But you have a broken foot. I know, but I play. And I figured Tannehill was one of those guys. Dan Marino getting an oil change where they would drain his knee in the middle of the week.
I hate that.
I thought he was one of those guys. And I just don't think he's one of those guys anymore. And I'm not saying he's not tough, but he's not one of those guys. And that's not to compare him to the holy grail.
What does that really mean?
Of playing injury. It means I can't count on you like I can count on Dan Marino. It means that I can't look at you when Mike Vrabel says the best thing about you is elite toughness. And you couldn't go on Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs when you were medically cleared and you left your team out to dry with Malik Willis at quarterback, which is infinitely as much the team's fault as it is your fault. In fact, it's more the team's fault than it is your fault.
Yes.
That Malik Willis is the best option behind you. But those guys left it all out on the table. And I think that's why Vrabel was like, I'd rather talk about them on Sunday after the game than I'd rather talk about him because he couldn't go. But all my guys that did go left it all on the field. And I think maybe Vrabel felt that way after the game, too. 615-737-1025. That's all I'm asking. When can we? 615-737-1025. Plus, don't just think about me, because I know I say things and people get mad and they're like, oh, well, Jared said it. What Chris Sanders had to say today about Ryan Tannehill. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102, and the receivers. We need to include that, too. What Chris Sanders, because it was wild. So we'll get to that coming up. Hey, after the game on Sunday, be sure to check out the post-game show. That's right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. The post-game show will be Jonathan Hutton and Chad Withrow, live from the Superbook Lounge and Landshark Bar and Grill, Margaritaville on Broadway. The post-game show is brought to you by Renters Warehouse, Two Rivers Ford. Custom order your new Ford from Two Rivers Ford. Superbook Sports, voted the #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
Every Wednesday at noon.
No matter the down and distance and no matter the score, they're going to give him the football.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Chase, Willie, and D-Mace to talk all things Titans and NFL.
I hope that they're not throwing flags simply because the league wants to see more of them.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
They are not as good at wide receiver and the playmaking department.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon. Presented by Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars and by Edley's Barbecue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Calling a criminal defense lawyer or a divorce lawyer, you may think it's the worst day of your life. It doesn't have to be. If you have quality, competent representation who can guide you through a complex system, we can do that for you. Despite if you've been arrested for a DUI or a robbery charge, whether or not you're going through a divorce or a post-divorce, or demanding your fundamental constitutional right to parent your children. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Hey, it's Eddie George. You know we all have crazy busy lives and don't take time to research car insurance, right? Well, you don't have to. Xander Insurance does all the work for you. Their system shops over 15 top companies to find you the best rates, and they keep shopping every year. Their clients have saved an average of $600. That's why I'm a client. Xander gives me more options. More options means more savings. Get free quotes at XanderInsurance.com or call 800-356-1780.
When Genesis Diamonds has a sale, you know it's the real deal. And it's happening November 18th, 19th, and 20th. Our final store-wide sale of the year with deep discounts up to 35% off. This is the big one. The one where the staff knows they can break all the rules. Plus, Genesis selection is nearly double, with designers flying in their entire collections all on sale. This is the last and best jewelry buying opportunity of the year. Luxury pre-owned Rolex is also included. Save up to 35% and get zero interest financing. Genesis Diamonds. November 18th through 20th only, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Teron Davenport here for Superbook Sports. Can you beat Vegas this football season? Superbook Sports gives you the chance every week to go head-to-head with the best odds makers in Las Vegas. No fancy computer algorithms. No guys across the pond setting lines for American sports. Just the best team of odds makers in the business behind the counter at the Superbook in Las Vegas. Plus, Superbook features some of the best odds boosts and promo bets anywhere. So download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com and start your battle against Vegas right now. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Hey, it's Hutton. Guys, do you need an annual health exam? I recommend going to Low T Center to get your complete health assessment. They will check all of your levels, not just your T level. In most cases, it's completely covered by your health insurance. And if you don't have insurance, it's less than $100 for a full lab panel and an office visit with their medical provider to give you a complete health assessment. Low T Center specializes in men's health, making it quick and easy, even verifying your insurance. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Everyone can boost their digital confidence with NordVPN. All it takes is one simple click. NordVPN will block online trackers, hide your virtual location, and secure your devices from malware-infected files during downloads. It will also detect malicious websites. So catch the Black Friday deal for a 1 or 2 year plan at NordVPN.com and get 3 months for free. NordVPN, cybersecurity built for every day.
It's on, it's happening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way, I'm watching the game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
He was listed as questionable. Ryan didn't play in the game. There's so many guys, Paul, that bust their ass out there tonight that I would be more than happy to talk about. So if we could ask about the players that actually played in the game, that'd be a great place to start.
I'd rather talk about the guys who played in the game. Because even though Ryan was questionable and medically cleared, he didn't feel like he could go out there and play. with a low ankle sprain.
I still stand by Vrabel was mad because the Titans just lost that game.
I think it's a combination of both.
Maybe.
But I think you get the truth from Vrabel more after the game.
It's a little bit more vulnerable.
Because he's mad that they just played. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where I think he's, yes, more vulnerable. More vulnerable, I think, is a very good way of saying it. So I do see your phones. We'll get to them, 615-737-1025. But it's one thing for me to sit here and talk about whether or not Tannehill should have played with this injury. Chris Sanders. I mean, I was not ready for this. Former Titans receiver, the nicest guy in the world. Chris Sanders was on our show earlier today. And, I mean, I figured when I asked him, what's to say about Tannehill and his stuff, that I figured Chris, Tannehill, because Chris loves Tannehill. He's the president of the Boo-Hoo Tannehill crew.
President, vice president, and founder.
Apparently not today.
I want to talk about the difference between him and Simmons. Both of them had ankle sprains, but why did Simmons play and why didn't Tannehill play? And I just think it has to deal with who can handle the pain the most. And I think that with Simmons, I just think he can handle it at his position. I think Tannehill just couldn't. So, man, that's a tough question to answer. I don't know.
Think about that. Jeffrey Simmons plays defensive tackle. Think about all those piles on running plays where guys are grabbing in the pile and guys
you don't think
are running.
You push off that ankle as a defensive lineman?
Of course, you're trying to push these big old fatties up front. You're using your ankles the whole time.
You got 300 pounds on your ankles.
Simmons did not practice all last week. He did not practice the week before that. Dominated in the Texan game. Dominated in the Chiefs game. Did not practice today. So clearly the ankle is still bothering Simmons. And clearly his contract is still bothering him too.
But can we really compare it apples to apples?
Well, Ryan Tannehill plays the most protected position in the sport, quarterback. Mm-hmm. And he couldn't play. I don't know, you'd have to talk to Chris. He's the one that compared it.
I know, but I'm just saying, based off of Chris's point, if we're going to talk about it, then can we compare it apples to apples? Because there might be two people with a stomach ache. One might be a whole lot worse than the other.
That goes back to the original question I asked at the top of this hour. If we can't criticize Tannehill for this because we don't know, then can we ever criticize anybody for any injury ever? Because how do we know his elbow's not bothering him more? Chad Withrow believes that Marcus Mariota made a business decision when he didn't play at the end of the 2018 season and Blaine Gabbert had to play against the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday Night Football in the winner go-home game. Mm-hmm. Now, I think that is sourced information, or like when Chad's telling us that, I think he's telling us. So I think that, Marcus just decided. I figured when Marcus couldn't play that game that it was because Marcus couldn't feel the ball or whatever. And I was disappointed that Marcus couldn't play. And I was like, what the hell, Marcus? Mm-hmm. And I was one of Marcus's biggest defenders, which I'm not proud of. But I mean, I didn't think that it was a business decision. And then you hear, that it might have been. And it's like, well, I don't know what's going on with Marcus's elbow. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Simmons' ankle. I know Simmons has an ankle sprain and he can't practice. I know Tannehill did practice, and Tannehill went out there and he's medically cleared, and he went to Vrabel, and they walked up the tunnel, and Malik went out there and started. The other thing Chris Sanders went off about was the wide receivers. Everybody's been dumping on the wide receivers. In fact, I just saw that somebody retweeted CBS saying that, the A.J. Brown has 730 receiving yards and the Titans receivers have 658 receiving yards, and they're just getting dumped on by everybody. And Chris Sanders was hot about that.
If they get 4 or 5 opportunities and say, for your one chance a game, and you drop a ball that's a 50-50 ball, and you say he's a terrible receiver, that's garbage. That's nonsense. You need to start look in within and say, you know what? Let me look at the quarterback situation. If he can't throw the ball in the right position, now get his behind out and get somebody else in there. But the one thing he has to do, they need to let him loose. Quit holding his hand, quit saying this, quit saying all that stuff, and let him throw all the route trees. That's what I'm talking about. Don't just put it on the receivers and say, oh, he sucks. I've been through that stuff in 1998. How in the world, when I come in as a rookie in 1995, I don't know why I'm going, in 1995, I make the all-rookie team. I average 23.5 yards a catch. Then all of a sudden we get to 1998 where the quarterback is struggling a little bit, and all of a sudden don't know how to play football. I don't think it's fair to these wide receivers to say that they suck when they're not getting an opportunity.
Woo!
Whole lot there.
That being said, if they let Malik throw all the routes, they would have gotten killed by Kansas City.
And that's what I was going to say. I agree with one thing, and I disagree with the other. I agree with you can't overly criticize the receivers when you have to take into consideration of who's throwing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But then why would you let that quarterback then throw all the route trees? Why let him loose?
I think it's
that
Chris's
seems counterproductive to me.
I think it's Chris's way of sticking up for the wide receivers.
No, I know, I get it. But letting Malik loose, to me, is not going to make the receivers better, nor is it going to make Malik better. That's just going to make you lose football games.
Yeah, it's just going to highlight the fact that Malik's not very good.
Right.
Which is what
You're
Chris
going to turn the ball over.
Chris was like, stop holding his hand. Expose him is, I think, what Chris was kind of saying about Malik Willis.
To make the receivers look better?
Yeah, to say that it's not their fault.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at the same time, like, Conley's got to come down with the ball. And how many opportunities is Chris Conley going to get? He shouldn't get 5 opportunities. I mean, they signed him off a practice squad. But I also have a theory about receivers with this team. I think the offensive coordinator holds them back a little bit. I think AJ's an example of that. AJ on this team, people are like, he's good, but he's not great. AJ goes to the next team, he's great. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I do wonder if these receivers really aren't that bad. And this coordinator, who we've been banging on the last couple of weeks, might be part of it. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com, 615-737-1025. Lorenzo has been waiting patiently and is up next. Thank you for calling. What you got, Lorenzo?
Hey, Jared. Hey, what's going on? Hey, I'd say, man, I think it's unfortunate to call Ryan Tannehill out. I mean, this is why players take illegal drugs to get back onto the field. Then he gets called. That's a 4-game suspension. Then we're still talking about him. So I wouldn't be too quick to judge his ankle. Just because his doctor clears him, we're not under his foot and know his situation. So I don't second guess.
So when can you criticize a player, Lorenzo?
Well, I think it depends on history. If there hasn't been a consistent history, he just broke a record here in Tennessee. So this hasn't been a problem with him. So if it's been an issue, then yes. But you can't. That's difficult to say when this has been a one-time thing. So if he took some Balco and then and he got suspended, then we'd say it's a problem. But the question I have is against Kansas City, say going into Denver. Denver has the 21st ranked rush defense. Kansas City had the 3rd rush defense, right? So I'm trying to understand, say, from a Malik Willis standpoint, yes, there's opportunities for him. Yes, there's opportunities for us to make better play calls. But what is it that hurt-foot Ryan Tannehill could have done versus the Kansas City Chiefs that was different than, say, Malik Willis? At least 2 plays where if Ryan Tannehill was out there with a hurt foot, we would have won this game. That's where I'm confused.
Oh, my God, everything. Thank you for your call. I mean, everything. I mean, how many times were they in 3rd and long, which you're not always going to convert a 3rd and long, but it's like hand the ball off to Haskins, get off the field, send out the punter. You're not doing that if Ryan Tannehill's the quarterback. I mean, they were going up for it against the Colts. I want to say they were up 6 at the time when Ryan Tannehill got hurt against the Colts, and they were in, like, field goal range. And it was 3rd and 9 after he threw the ball to Mason Kinsey. It was 3rd and 9, and Tannehill got hurt. And I guarantee you that the guys that were about to run on the field were going to be Hooper and Hilliard and Woods and Westbrook, and probably Kinsey would have stayed. And then he gets hurt, so Malik goes in the game, and it's like, no, get those guys out, get Hollister and Swaim, and get those guys in, because we're running the ball right up the middle with Hilliard, and we're kicking a field goal because we're not putting the ball in Malik's hands. That's for an entire game. An entire game. You asked me, what would have been different? The play calling would have been different. Kansas City's defensive play calling would have been different. The ball to Chigakonkwo on the sideline would have been different. The ball to Westbrook-Akine probably would have been different.
Time of possession probably would have been different.
Absolutely, time of possession would have been different. I think the Titans, with Tannehill at quarterback, would have scored 24 points. And I'm talking about probably by the 3rd quarter. Because they scored, They had 17 when they kicked the field goal after halftime?
Yes.
They had the interception.
That field goal was the last point they scored. So, yes, 17.
So they had 17. I'm thinking that they would have tacked on another touchdown, especially the way they were moving the ball in the 2nd quarter. They would have 24 points. Kansas City's down 24-9. Now, instead of okay, we got to find a way to put a drive together, now Kansas City, and Mahomes plays like this, where he's going to try to get it all back on one play. Like, they may be down. By them being down by 1 possession, Mahomes is not going to try to get it back on one play. If they're down 17, he's going to try to get it back in one play. even though it's crazy because you can't get it back in one play. He's going to chuck the ball down the field and interception be damned, which Malik was afraid of even in overtime when they were down by 3. Malik was afraid on third down to throw it because, if I throw it, it might be intercepted.
And it was 3rd and 25, which you
21.
have to get rid of the football there.
Have to throw the ball.
And it's a long throw, and they would have been contested catches, but what other option do you have? Hold on to the football and just, wait for an inevitable loss?
Here you go. Here's your answer as to what would have been different. This just starts in the third quarter. The first third down in the third quarter, 3rd and 8. Hassan Haskins with running the football. So they're not throwing it. Mm-hmm. You think 3rd and 8 at the Tennessee 18, they're not throwing with Ryan Tannehill?
Absolutely they are.
They're going to throw with Tannehill in that. Okay, so that's one difference. The second one, they're third down, 3rd and 5 at the Kansas City 29. They're up at this point 14-9. They're up by 5 in the third quarter, and again, a touchdown really puts it on Kansas City. 3rd and 5 at the 29. They call a run for Malik Willis. You think they would have thrown the ball on 3rd and 5 at the 29?
Probably.
Yes. Their second, 3rd and 14. Malik Willis pass short right. It's a screen to Hassan Haskins. Now, I'll say this. They probably would have thrown a screen. 3rd and 14, maybe Tannehill tries to get it, but Tannehill probably isn't picking up 3rd and 14. But, again, the point being that they are throwing the ball in throwing situations, and in this game, once they had a lead, they ran the ball in throwing situations because they just didn't want Malik to turn it over. That's why they did what they did, because they didn't want Malik to get spooked like he did at the end of the game when he had to throw it and he just starts running around for dear life instead of setting up the tight end screen and throwing the ball to the tight end, which I also thought was stupid and was a bad call because they shouldn't run that for Swaim. They should run that for Hooper or somebody that has at least just a modicum of ability or athleticism in order to do something with it. 615-737-1025 to your phone calls. 615-737-1025. Plus, Tannehill takes us through what he was thinking when he went out there on Sunday, which I wonder if he thought the same thing Vrabel thought. We'll get to that. FanDuel Sportsbook is my official sportsbook app. I love FanDuel Sportsbook. Now is a perfect time to download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. America's #1 sportsbook and my official sportsbook app. Right now, new customers get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just sign up with the promo code JGM. FanDuel has all your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads to player props, and you can combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same-game parlay. With live betting, you'll get updated odds on games that have already started, and you'll get paid your winnings quickly. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So sign up today with the promo code JGM for your no-sweat bet. That's promo code JGM. And make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and older and present, Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Want a chance to win tickets to an upcoming Preds game?
Yes.
Tune in to Robbie and Rexroad every weekday Preds game day at 8:45 for Preds Pick to Click. Guess a goal scorer and win.
I'll take Roman Yost.
Matt Duchesne.
Pick to Click is brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Visit tjandersonhomes.com to see why they are referred so often. And by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
Preds Pick to Click.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
As a roofer, I don't have time to fail. Homeowners rely on me, so I rely on Beacon. Beacon's unique network of branches work together to get me what I need when I need it. Every branch working together. And with the new Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the latest power tool in roofing. Searching, ordering, tracking. Plus the brands I depend on, like GAF, right at my fingertips. Go to BECN.com to get started building with Beacon. Beacon, always building.
The final matchup of the Tennessee basketball team's 3-game series with Colorado is coming to Nashville. Don't miss the Tennessee Volunteers versus the Colorado Buffaloes at Bridgestone Arena Sunday, November 13th. Be there to witness your Volunteers in action as they look to run their all-time record against Colorado to 5-0. Sunday, November 13th, Bridgestone Arena. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Presented by Red Cap.
Dear online threats, after all the time we spent together, I'm finally ready to say goodbye. I have to admit, I was careless. At first, I thought maybe you were not so bad. Then, after you moved into my software, I believed I was too weak to stop you. I was wrong. I can do better. So you know what? I have NordVPN now. See you? Never. Everyone can boost their digital confidence with NordVPN. All it takes is one simple click. NordVPN will block online trackers, hide your virtual location, and secure your device from malware-infected files during downloads. It will also detect malicious websites. So catch the Black Friday deal for a 1 or 2 year plan at NordVPN.com and get 3 months for free. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow.
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
Are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game. Live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is David Price. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Pre-game warm-up when you went out there to kind of test it, it didn't look like you were doing much, like test mobility. What were you looking for, in that pre-game warm-up to determine whether or not you could go?
Yeah, I just went out and played a little catch. That was kind of the plan heading into it, so to see where it was at, and that's where we were.
So, I just went out there, just kind of played a little catch on Sunday, and no tape on his ankle, which he had tape on his ankle when he was out at practice. Mm-hmm. Had tape on his ankle today at practice, but no tape on Sunday when he went out there. Threw just standard. Like you would throw, like if his kid was like, Dad, can we go play catch in the yard?
And it's like, sure, let me just lob it up to you.
Yeah, just kind of just tossing it right there with Junior. And then that's it. Goes inside. Shows up to the game not wearing a suit. He normally wears a suit because he's a quarterback, and quarterbacks do the press conferences. They wear suits. He was never going to play on Sunday.
It didn't seem like it.
But he was medically cleared to play, obviously.
Uh-huh.
And, again, the videos, Jim Wyatt had one and TD had one. It was great because you could see both angles of it, where Tannehill went to Vrabel, who was standing there with John Robinson. And so it was it was Tannehill and Todd Torricelli, the trainer. And then Tannehill talks to Vrabel, and they walk up the tunnel. And then the next thing you know, Tannehill's inactive, Malik's in. And Tannehill was never going to play on Sunday. Do you think that Vrabel and the coaching staff was like, hey, give it a go and just see? Because Tannehill was like, I kind of knew in the week that I was going to need a huge jump in order to be able to play on Sunday. And so do you think the coaching staff was like, well, let's just see on Sunday? Tannehill's like, all right, fine, we'll see. And then he doesn't even really try to give it a go because he doesn't even tape up the foot. And then he's like, I can't go.
I could see that being a possibility. I could also see it being a possibility that Tannehill didn't think he was going to go Sunday. Coaching staff probably didn't think he was going to go Sunday either. So they said, just come with us. Just go out there for warm-ups. Just do as much as you can do, even though, you're going into this knowing that you're not going to be playing. Just be with the team and get geared up for next week because we feel like you'll be good to go next week.
Do you think any of this was to throw off the Chiefs?
Maybe.
I don't.
Why?
Because I don't think you drag it out to, the game.
Well, I do think that part of it throughout the week was probably to throw off the Chiefs.
Sure. And
throw off
Texans,
the Chiefs' preparation.
the week before.
And part of it was in the Texans the week before to throw off their preparation. And I do think that part of it is let's just do what you can do. Part of it is throwing them off, and part of it is let's get back into the, the game day hustle. Let's get you back on the field. Let's get you doing as much as you can do.
Right. But the Chiefs, if all of a sudden the Titans get to the game and they, Sunday morning, if Adam Schefter's like Ryan Tannehill's out, the Chiefs aren't going to have practice.
No, I mean, they're not going to redo the game plan from Sunday morning to Sunday evening.
Plus, Chris Jones says that Jeffrey Simmons told him everything, so who knows?
We don't talk enough about that.
We don't. It's because I don't believe it.
I don't either.
I think Jones was
why would Jeffrey Simmons say that?
Yeah, I think Jones was just...
are they besties?
Stirring it up a little bit.
Probably.
What do we have in the text line? 615-737-1025.
One texter texts into the text line and says, if Tannehill played and threw 3 picks, then we would be saying, why did he play? Why did he play? We cannot have it both ways.
I would not be saying that. Now, I will say this. Derek Jeter and all those guys, They always say, hey, if I play and I don't play well, don't blame the injury.
Mm-hmm.
If it's either I'm good or I'm not good. It's binary, and I buy that. But I don't think we would have been holding it against Tannehill. I would not have said Malik could have done better. There is no way Tannehill could have played worse.
That's really easy to say, though.
I mean, that's how bad Malik was.
It wasn't great.
No, he was horrible.
It wasn't great.
He was horrible. What's next?
But at least going in with Malik, the Titans called plays conservatively. They wouldn't have called plays conservatively with Tannehill.
No.
So if you got an injured ankle and you're trying to throw the ball deep 25 yards.
Well, they would have changed how they called plays with an injured Tannehill. Then again, they had an injured Tannehill against the Colts, and Todd Downing called that stupid Malik Willis handoff. So, you know what kills me about Malik running the ball? You guys correct me if I'm wrong about this.
Uh-huh.
I don't even think he's that fast.
I don't know if it's fast. He's not fast. It's just the way that he runs doesn't do him any favors. It's like he tries to cut back and forth. Just run.
Right. I think
just run.
I think he's fast for a quarterback. I think he's faster than Eli Manning. I think he's faster than Aaron Rodgers.
Well, yeah.
But I don't think he's faster than Dontrell Hilliard.
Well, Dontrell Hilliard is a running back.
I know, but Lamar Jackson is faster than Dontrell Hilliard.
Yeah.
Michael Vick is the running quarterbacks.
If Malik Willis was as fast as Lamar Jackson, he would not have been a third-round quarterback.
I don't know, man. Malik throwing the ball. And obviously his recognition of anything is zero.
And I do wonder.
Look over to the sideline. Oh, we're running lollipop on the board, so now that's the play we're running, And then this is not college.
But what do you expect?
No, I mean, I know what to expect because I was at training camp.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what to expect. I saw it.
I mean, I think our expectations were very tempered whenever we understood, hey, this is a guy coming in who's never taken a snap under center.
Well, our expectation was that they would go get somebody better. That they would go get a backup quarterback to back up.
That wasn't the expectation. That was the hope.
That is true. What else we got?
One texter texts in says, yes, I definitely agree that it would be a pain tolerance thing for Ryan Tannehill, but the ankle that is injured is his plant foot. That's where a lot of the power comes from in quarterback throws and their dropbacks. Maybe that's more of the issue.
I'm not saying it's not. I don't know. Was the knee that Dan Marino was always getting drained every week before he would play, i.e. an oil change, according to Dan Marino? Was that his plant leg or not his plant leg? I don't know. I mean, with Steve McNair, when he had the turf toe or the strained calf, was that his plant leg or his non-plant leg? I don't know. I'm not, if it's if it was the other leg, then it would be okay to get on Tannehill because it's this leg we can't get on Tannehill.
I mean, it's not necessarily getting on him or not getting on him, but providing context as to this would make more sense as to why he couldn't play.
And I'll say this. If you don't want people to criticize you for not playing on clearly what is a low ankle sprain, if you don't want people to criticize you, then just tell them. So they have the choice of if you want people not to criticize or not to think man, what the hell? You didn't play. If you don't want that, then you got to tell people the truth. Mm-hmm. Remember last year, Bud Dupree started off slowly the first two games, and then he went back to being injured. And Vrabel, no. And then Bud Dupree just came out and said, yeah, I came back too fast from my knee injury. And everybody was like, cool, got it.
Yeah.
But when you do this whole oh, yeah, no, I'm it's well, then fine. I'll just have to come up with my own conclusion because you're not providing anybody any context.
Well, this is one example of many of the Titans not providing context and us just having to run with it. Right. I mean, that's a flaw in the organization, not just this instance.
I would agree. But I don't want to be told no, Jared, you can't criticize this because it's what you mean because? I mean, I'm criticizing because it adds up that he has a low ankle sprain. And Jeffrey Simmons has the same thing, and he's playing through it. And Tannehill apparently can't play through it in a game against Kansas City that may decide home field in an AFC playoff game that could get you to the championship game. And I want that game here because I know the difference between these two teams. I picked the Titans to win on Friday. I was the only person in the world that picked the Titans on Friday because I knew the Titans are a bad matchup for that team. And Tannehill knew it too, just like Vrabel knew it. They knew it. Simmons said, oh, we're going to kill them up front, which, by the way, they did know that in Kansas City that Simmons said that. I can't believe Simmons said that. I mean, you can talk the talk if you can walk the walk, but I can't believe Simmons was just we're going to dominate them. And
they
it
did, though.
They did.
They did.
And it did get back to Kansas City. I was listening to my buddy doing Kansas City radio on Monday, and he was like, Jeffrey Simmons said all those things, and, well, Jeffrey Simmons was right. They were, laughing about it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. I've got good news. Good news for Tennessee fans. We'll get to that coming up. In fact, let's give something away. Let's just make it all about good news here on the program. Good news. Be caller 5 right now at 615-737-1025. You're going to win a pair of tickets to Music City Hockey at Bridgestone Arena on Friday, November 25th in a matchup of the NCAA's top 20 ranked college hockey teams. Northeastern will take on Western Michigan. That's the Music City Hockey Classic at Bridgestone Arena on Friday, November 25th at 6:30. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Edley's Barbecue. I love Edley's Barbecue. Let Edley's Barbecue cater your next event. We let them cater an event for us, and I was so glad that we let them do that because it was fabulous. Voted Nashville's best barbecue 4 years in a row. Edley's Barbecue is a winning pick. Pickup, delivery, or full-service catering, and they've got full bar packages and bartending services, which are perfect for small gatherings, corporate meetings, box lunches, and team celebrations, and special occasions like weddings, rehearsal dinners, or like a birthday party like we had. Call your neighborhood Edley's or order online at edleysbbq.com. That's Edley's Barbecue. Again, they got pulled pork, brisket, turkey, scratch-made sides, family style. They're all amazing. Let Edley's do your catering. Let them do your tailgating. edleysbbq.com.
College football.
Touchdown, Georgia. Nice catch and move by Holden. Touchdown.
Lives here. Don't miss every exciting play each Saturday.
Into the end zone. Touchdown to the freshman, Dane Key.
It's all presented by Twin Peaks, your home of 20-degree drafts and wall-to-wall sports, and by Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
We'll see low temperatures tonight in the upper 40s. Tomorrow, more clouds begin to move into the area. High temperatures still reach to the lower 70s. Rain moves in tomorrow night into Friday, and then we're much colder by the weekend. For Fox 17, I'm meteorologist Brett Luna.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
This week in Vanderbilt history, November 9th, 2013. History in the swamp for the Commodores as Vanderbilt defeats Florida 34-17. The first win in Gainesville since 1945. The Commodores opened up a 17-0 lead in the first half thanks to a Kerry Spear field goal and touchdown runs by Jerron Seymour and Patton Robinette. Vandy scored 3 times after interceptions, including a 2-yard TD by Seymour to make it 24-3 in the third quarter. And the Doors put the game away in the fourth on Seymour's third score of the day as he carried 24 times for 62 yards. The Vandy defense was terrific, forcing 4 turnovers and racking up 5 sacks for 59 yards. Defensive back Andre Howell said the summer workouts were paying off. The victory was the first in 23 tries against the Gators dating back to 1988, and it was also the first time in school history to defeat both Florida and Georgia in the same season. Commodores 34, Florida 17 in 2013. This week in Vanderbilt history, I'm Kevin Ingram.
Well, I'm a orthopedic surgeon, board certified.
Meet Dr. John Herzog, who's certainly done his share of knee and hip replacements. But these days, he's encouraging his patients to look at regenerative medicine options, now available at QC Kinetics.
I'm kind of the anti-surgeon right now, and a lot of my buddies, if they hear me talking, they're going to give me a call.
Dr. Herzog says advances in regenerative medicine can give your achy joints lasting relief, using highly concentrated healing agents from your own body to repair and restore damaged tissue.
We take the fluid out of you, we concentrate it, and put it in an area where they couldn't normally get to and facilitate healing.
Are you suffering from constant pain due to arthritis or injury? Maybe it's time to look at alternatives to drugs and surgery at QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in these exciting treatments.
What could be more natural than using your own body to heal yourself?
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024.
This segment of ESPN 102.5 The Game is brought to you by Train Heating and Cooling Systems. Tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together. Visit traininfo.com to find your local independent train dealer. Traininfo.com. It's hard to stop a train.
Middle Tennessee football is back in action at home on Saturday, November 12th. The Blue Raiders will take on Charlotte in our 40th annual Salute to Veterans and Armed Forces football game. Kickoff is set for 2:30 p.m. inside Floyd Stadium. Come early and join in on the festivities honoring our veterans. To purchase tickets or for more information, visit goblueraiders.com/tickets. Middle Tennessee, we are Blue Knighted.
Chase McCabe.
The best way to figure that out is to watch Twitter.
Willie Donick.
Trying to move down the field for the winning field goal.
And Derek Mason.
I'm putting in my hours and I'm out of here.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Heather, as we watched everything that the committee told us last night, what was the most important thing to you?
Tennessee can still finish as a top 4 team. The selection committee loves their wins against LSU and Alabama. They're number 2 this week in strength of record. And somebody above them is going to lose because Ohio State and Michigan still have to play each other. You know what's interesting? The SEC or the selection committee's only left out one-loss SEC team ever from the college football playoff. Texas A&M in 2020 was number 5. So it's certainly possible that a one-loss team that doesn't win their division can finish in the top 4. Ohio State did it in 2016. Alabama did it in 2017.
There you go. That was Heather Dinich on ESPN this morning. I got something to say after the college football playoff rankings came out yesterday. Tennessee fans, go ahead and book your trips. So I don't know if you're going to be in Atlanta or if you're going to be in, was it Glendale?
Yeah.
So it's the Peach Bowl and the Fiesta Bowl?
It's Peach Bowl, Fiesta Bowl.
So I don't know if it's going to be in Atlanta, and I don't know if it's going to be. I would assume it's not going to be in Atlanta. The curveball here is Oregon.
Yeah.
Because
Tennessee would probably either be 3 or 4.
Right.
Depending on Oregon.
So if they're 3, they're not playing Georgia.
If they're 3, it would be in Phoenix.
Unless they so desperately want to keep from a rematch with Georgia.
But Georgia would probably be 1. Michigan or Ohio State 2. Tennessee 3. Oregon 4.
So if they, like, you know how they always try to, they cook it.
Absolutely, they cook it.
They could say that the Ohio State win over Michigan or the Michigan win over Ohio State would then pop them to number 1. Maybe that's why they had Georgia 3 last week and Ohio State 2. So that when Ohio State beats Michigan, then they can pop Ohio State over Georgia, and then Georgia's won, Tennessee's 4.
No, because Georgia has a win over the number 1 team in the country, at the time, at least.
Yeah, but Michigan's going to be higher ranked when they beat Michigan than Tennessee. Like, win that game at the end of the season, like, Michigan will fall from, well, no, you're right, because Michigan will fall out.
Michigan, Ohio State are 2-3.
Yeah. So Michigan will fall out because Michigan, when they, once they lose, they'll be like 5, and Tennessee will be 4, so that Tennessee win will be better than
right.
Whatever, my head's about to pop.
Georgia is going to be 1, assuming that they win out and win the SEC championship.
Then go ahead and book your flights to Phoenix and your hotels in Glendale. Now, get them refundable. Don't be mad at me. But Tennessee's going to the playoff.
All I got to say is, don't lose to Missouri.
Tennessee's going to the playoff. It's over. Like, go ahead, get hats and T-shirts. Sports seasons, go ahead and get them. 2022 college football playoff. Tennessee is going. The committee told us that last night because they ranked them ahead of Oregon. And, I don't think TCU is going to go undefeated.
I don't think so either, but I do think, okay, what's up with TCU being 7 and then now 4?
After just kind of playing okay with Texas Tech.
Yes.
Here's the answer. The only thing that matters in this thing, and I've been saying this, it's the one constant over the years. The one year they say conference championships matter. Then the next year conference championships don't matter.
Well, the one consistent thing with the committee is that it's inconsistent.
No, the one consistent is the number of losses. That is the one consistent.
Well, I mean, Alabama has 2 losses and is ranked above a 1-loss Clemson team.
I know, but I'm talking about to get in the 4.
To get in 4.
The undefeateds always get in over the 1 losses, and the 1 losses always get in over the 2 losses.
Not always.
A 2 loss has never gotten in over a 1 loss, and a 1 loss has never gotten in over an undefeated.
Notre Dame was a 1 loss and didn't get in.
Okay, but again, Notre Dame a 2 loss didn't get in over Notre Dame.
No.
The only undefeated to ever not get in the college football playoff was UCF all those years ago.
Yeah.
And that doesn't count because they're not a Power 5 school. Tennessee is going to be the highest ranked one-loss team because of their strength of schedule and their 2 victories over LSU and Alabama. No 2-loss team is jumping a 1-loss team. Tennessee's not going to lose another game. TCU is going to lose. They're already ahead of Oregon, and they do have the claim that they lost by significantly less to Georgia. Georgia's going to get in. The winner of Ohio State, Michigan's going to get in. The loser of that game is not going to have the victories or the strength of schedule of Tennessee. Go ahead and book the hotels. Tennessee's going to the playoff. They told you that last night. It's the one consistent with the committee is that it is always about the amount of losses, and the SEC always goes first. So Tennessee is in as long as they don't lose to Vandy. And boy, would that be some tea if they did. That's it for us. Years ago, Steve Spurrier had a press conference when South Carolina didn't play very well, and he was ripping the team, and he turned over to Dylan Thompson, the quarterback, and said, okay, Dylan, go ahead and say something good about him. Preds Insiders next. Go ahead, Robbie. After yesterday's game, go ahead and
something good about him.
Say something good about him, Robbie. We're out of here. We'll see you tomorrow.